Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Southern Virginia University women's softball from the fields at Southern Virginia University. I'm Jim Bresnahan, joined by Mike Harmon, getting ready to bring you the final Southern Virginia home doubleheader, final games of the season for the Knights, who will be taking on Bridgewater today. Mike, still looking for their first win of the year. Knights come in 0-24. Bridgewater 9-25 on the season. It's senior day. 3 seniors going to be honored in between games and really throughout the afternoon today, including Lainey Thompson, the catcher, Jamie Pinkston, the pitcher, and also Mackenzie Cox.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time to watch them finish off their careers here. Unfortunately, they had to be here at this time to build the program back to where it used to be. But I'm sure they're very appreciated by Coach Hall to step in and do everything they can to start the building process.
Well, the Knights have struggled to obviously get that victory. They have had some close calls. Of course, when we go back to the main Presque Isle doubleheader, only lost that first game. The doubleheader 4-1. And of course, a couple of weeks ago, last week against Emory and Henry, they actually led going into the fourth inning, 3-2. Ended up losing that game 17-3. So the Knights have been playing a little better at times, and it just seems like, Mike, early on it was the defense that really struggled, and lately it just seems like it's been the hitting.
Well, it's been a combination of both, and lately it's been who can they put out on the field? Who's healthy enough to go out on the field?
That's the biggest concern right now.
Had a lot of in the Emory and Henry game had a concussion that came up. Sprained ankles have happened to kind of mix people around into different spots that as we're not used to seeing them play in.
Yeah, they've got Bailey Brandon starting at second base today, and over in right field, Bianca Mendez. And you look at the bench, I'm not sure there's a player available on the bench here, Mike, as Jamie Pinkston starts things off with a called strike against the Bridgewater Eagles. Again, the Eagles come in with 9 victories on the season, 9-25. The Knights 0-24. Final games of the season. Everybody else in the Capital Conference, or at least a majority of the teams, will be obviously looking for postseason play. Have to talk about that throughout the afternoon today. Interesting Capital Conference baseball tournament,
yes,
how that
was.
unfolded.
Yes, it was. Just goes to show you can get on a hot streak and ride it for a while.
And Frostburg obviously able to get the victory there. That pitch from Pinkston is high. Mary Washington was looking pretty good in baseball, but Salisbury was a team that was ranked number 1 most of the season. You would imagine Salisbury might get in as a large team, Mike?
You would hope so for their sake. I'm sure that their coaches did a lot of research. And, you know, sometimes you get to your conference tournaments, and if you're going to be a shoe-in anyway for an at-large bid, sometimes you hold back a little bit so when other teams are scouting you, they don't really get to see what's going on.
First ball hit to right field, and Mendez right there to put it away for the first out. So Bianca Mendez in right field, not getting a whole lot of playing time, but pressed into action as a starter today, and perhaps here recently because of the injuries.
Yeah, everybody's had their turn now to contribute to the Knights. Most people have contributed in multiple positions.
And I'll have to check, or you'll have to check, because you've got the computer, but I do wonder, Jamie Pinkston, if she's got to set a personal record this year for pitches thrown.
I'm sure she's gone over her personal best for pitches thrown this year.
Mackenzie Cox scoops it up and throws it, but throws it low to first base, and the Eagles have their first base runner here in the first inning as Cox played a little bit in, Mike, and got to the ball in pretty good shape, just threw that ball low to first base.
Yeah, Keely Gray wasn't able to scoop it out, but also the runner from Bridgewater was really moving down the line. Hannah Nyquist.
Nyquist,
yeah. Yeah, Nyquist, and she put a lot of pressure on the defense just by her hustling down the line.
So here's a lefty-lefty matchup with 1 gone and a runner at first. There's a steal. Thompson's throw to second base is late. And now Bridgewater's got a runner at second base with, again, just 1 out.
Nyquist got a great jump there. It looked like she was almost 3/4 of the way to the bag before the ball was even released by Lainey Thompson.
Pinkston trying to get the hitter out here with a runner in scoring position. That one grounded to second base. Brandon bobbles it, keeps it in front of her, but throws late to first base. Kept it from going into the outfield. And keeps that runner at third base by keeping the ball in front of her, Mike. Otherwise, that ball rolls into right field, and the Bridgewater Eagles have their first run of the game. But now it's first and third, and still just 1 out.
And look for the Bridgewater Eagles to run the young lady from first over to second, trying to entice the throw from Lainey Thompson so Nyquist can get home.
Pinkston's pitch is a strike. No throw to second base on the steal. And now second and third, one gone for Bridgewater here in the top of the first.
Now the trouble really begins, Jim. Got 2 runners in scoring position, only 1 out. Jamie's going to have to really try to induce probably some pop flies now instead of ground balls.
Pinkston's pitch is hit right back up the middle and through for a base hit. That is going to go in between Helms momentarily. She'll pick it up. Helms throws it in, but not until the base runner, the hitter, gets a double out of it, and 2 RBI for Bridgewater. So the Eagles jump on top here in the top for the first inning, 2-0. And those errors really hurt the Knights. Ground ball to Mackenzie Cox. Could have been the second out, but she threw low to first base, and then a ball hit to second base. That could have been potentially maybe even a third out, Mike, bobbled by Brandon at second base.
Yeah, anytime you commit any type of error, they usually will come back to haunt you at least 90% of the time. Tough luck for Jamie. She's not being hampered by earned runs right now because all those runs were unearned, but she's having some flashbacks to earlier on in the season.
You look at the stats, and I think coming into today, the Knights had averaged about 5.5 errors, almost 6 errors a contest. Pitching-wise, the ERA was up around 12. That ball hit past Brandon, couldn't field it, and it's going to be first and third. She gets it back quickly, so no runs come in. Just still first and third with 1 gone here in the first. And then, of course, the hitting, just 170 team batting average, an on-base percentage just around 200. And in the Capital Conference, and this shows you how good the Capital Conference is in softball, their batting average was 146 the Knights.
Yeah, the Capital Conference is just phenomenal in just about all the sports, and we've talked about it. Baseball with Salisbury being ranked number 1, Salisbury also in softball, and we saw Christopher Newport come in and
so in the Capital Conference, the Knights' batting average is about a 146, and the opponent's average was about 300 points higher in the Capital Conference. So that's a marked difference, and that when you toss in maybe a few errors in the game, it's been obviously very difficult, and especially the injuries here of late for the Knights to pull down a victory. Pinkston's pitch is bunted, foul. Runners in the corners for Bridgewater, and only 1 out here in the top of the first senior day for the women's softball team.
We've talked earlier in the season about Jamie wanting to keep the ball down, wanting to induce a lot of ground balls. Now with the mixed match of players in different positions, totally in foreign places for them, she may want to get the ball a little bit higher in the zone and induce some fly balls.
That one's bunted foul. Yeah, normally you would think about maybe a double play ball here, but again, with infielders having problems at time and a totally new second baseman in Brandon, you start thinking about making them hit the ball up in the air.
Just as long as it stays inside the park.
There you go. Runners on the corners, and this ball is hit out to the outfield, short outfield though, and it is caught by Cox. Nice catch, throws home, and they cannot get the runner. Boy, it almost looked like Cox was going to be able to make a double play ball there by throwing the runner at third out at home, but she was just able to beat the throw for the third run for Bridgewater.
Well, that was smart of the Bridgewater runner to see that Mackenzie was going backwards from the plate.
Nice catch, by the way, by Cox.
Great over-the-shoulder catch, but her momentum was really taking her away from the plate, and there was no chance for her to throw out the runner, although she did make it very, very close.
You wonder if Bridgewater might send Amanda Lutz, the runner at first, maybe on a straight steal to put her in scoring position now. Mike with 2 gone and a 3-0 lead.
Well, it depends on her speed and what the Bridgewater coaches are comfortable with. Looks like she's going to stand.
Rip to left field and foul.
Yeah, Amber Wood put a charge into the ball there. I don't know if you want to risk getting the third out on the steal if she's going to hit the ball like that.
Amber Wood is the hitter, a freshman, 5'7" from Stafford, Virginia. 3-0 Eagles on top here. That pitch grounded down to second. Brandon Fields fires over to first and gets the third out. 3 runs in for Bridgewater. We're in the middle of the first inning. It is Bridgewater 3 and Southern Virginia coming up. Jamie Pinkston's going to lead things off for the Knights here in the bottom of the first, and she'll be facing a senior pitcher, right-hander Amanda Lutz. 3-0 Bridgewater on top here in the bottom of the first inning. Final games of the season for the women's softball team. Home doubleheader against the Bridgewater Eagles. Senior day today. 3 seniors being honored, including the hitter right now, and Jamie Pinkston.
And Jamie comes in with a .260 batting average, tops on the team.
And this ball is hit right back to Lutz, who grabs it, fires, and safe.
Let me tell you, that's a very scary situation for a pitcher because she's only about 38 feet away from the batter. And when the ball comes off those bats, they're ready to come off at least 100 miles an hour.
And Lutz knocked it down, maybe almost by reflex action. Now here is Katie Rose Helms. Helms hitting in the 2-hole. A few weeks ago, Mike, of course, she was leading off, and even before that, she was a little deeper in the order.
Yeah, again, a lot of mixing and matching, trying to find the optimum lineup. But when you get down to only 9 players, there's not a lot of mixing and matching you can do.
Helms may be bunting here after fouling off the first pitch. Lutz's pitch. That's a strike. Pinkston will go down to second as the catcher bobbled the ball. So Pinkston's at second, and nobody gone for the Knights here in the bottom of the first. They trail 3-0.
And now it's going to be really important that Katie Rose is able to put the ball in play over on the right-hand side so Jamie can get to third base.
That pitch is high. Windy. I guess temperatures in the 60s. This kind of almost feels like some of the games we did 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, but without the moisture.
That's true. Even though we have had a lot of rain here in the last couple of days, and that's a strikeout as Helms goes down and Lutz picks up her first strikeout. 1 gone, and Pinkston now at second base. Knights trying to get her home to give them their first run of the ball game. Now here's another senior, Mackenzie Cox, the shortstop, trying to get Pinkston home. That pitch low and outside.
And it'd really be nice to see the seniors pull together a little bit today and really bring the Knights through.
That pitch swung on and missed. Had to be an exciting game last week while we were doing the lacrosse game to watch the Knights take on a very good Emory and Henry team and actually lead that game 3-2 in the 4th inning, and then the roof just kind of collapsed.
Yeah, Emory and Henry found their bats. I think they had lost them for a little while, and then there was some injuries that happened right about that same time that caused a lot of shuffling of players in and out of the lineup. So if the game was only 4 innings long, the Knights would have had their first victory.
Cox's pitch hitting towards right field. It's going to fall for a hit. Pinkston is going to be able to score as the right fielder bobbles the ball. Pinkston scores the first run, and Cox has an RBI single. Amber Wood, the right fielder, bobbled that ball, but Pinkston was being waved to him anyway, and probably would have scored, Mike.
Yeah, I think she would have had the speed to make it in before the ball got into home plate. Coach Hall's being very aggressive on this last day.
So the Knights now only trailing 3-1 with Cox at first and 1 gone.
We have Annie Biggs up to bat, and she's really fallen off as far as her batting average. The first couple games we saw her, she was just lighting it up. Now she's fallen down to about a 175 batting average.
And you wonder if some of these players are just trying to do too much or have been trying to do too much over the course of the season. You wonder if that has come into play from time to time, Mike.
I'm sure that there's been plenty of times that they tried to shoulder the whole load onto themselves, trying to be the one that them out of the loss column. And every time you try to do that in a team sport, it just kind of compounds things. So again, a young team for Coach Hall. She's doing a lot of recruiting to bring in more players that will help with the skill level, and we should see a marked improvement for next year.
You also wonder, with the team way behind at times, you wonder if the hitters maybe change their hitting style, maybe a little less selective they might be than, let's say, in a really close ball game.
Well, it could be that, or they could be loading up trying to hit that home run. Every time you try to hit a home run, your swing mechanics change, and that just spells disaster for batting averages.
Amanda Lutz, senior pitcher, up against the Knights with 1 on and 1 gone, and that ball fouled off by Biggs. Knights trail here in the bottom of the first 3-1. One out, but Cox is at first base.
One of the last two games we've seen the Knights at least scoring in the first inning, trying to match whatever's happened to them on the defensive side.
That ball low, thrown down to first base, bounces away momentarily, but Cox not that far away from first base, so she'll play it safe and stay at first and not advance to second.
And that's where you'd like to see Coach Pendleton be a little bit more aggressive, yelling at Mackenzie, get up and go, get up and go, get up and go.
That ball hit to deep short, throw to first, and it is going to be an out at first base. Nice play by the shortstop to get Biggs at first base. Now 2 gone with Cox at second base for the Knights.
Yeah, Wharton was able to throw from deep in the hole, but the ball did get to her very fast. It's a nice hard ground ball by Annie, which gave Wharton plenty of time to throw her out.
Now here's the third senior we've been talking about today, and Lainey Thompson, the catcher. She's got a chance to drive home another senior, Cox, from second base. That ball low, but she swung and swinging strike. Well, Cox drove home Pinkston. Now another senior. Thompson is hoping to drive home Cox.
And again, if the Knights are going to make any noise today, it's going to have to come from these 3 seniors.
High pitch there.
And with these gusts of wind that we're feeling, Jim, it's going to play some tricks on the ball.
That ball grounded right back to Lutz, who throws over to first, and that is the third out of the inning. We have played an inning, and your score, Bridgewater 3 and Southern Virginia 1. Ready to go, top of the second inning. It is Southern Virginia trailing at the end of 1, Mike. Bridgewater on top here, 3-1.
And a great start for the Knights. Again, answering anytime you can answer back, get at least 1 run, just gives you that much more confidence.
Knights gave up 3 in the first, trying to get out of the second, hopefully with a 1-2-3 inning, try to maybe go to the bottom of the second, get some runs, and either tie or take the lead here through 2.
And up to bat is Audra Kugler, a sophomore utility player from Harrisonburg, Virginia.
And after fouling that pitch off, she takes a ball low.
You know, in both of these teams, their conference tournaments are already over. They're using this game as their postseason play, and they really want to perform well.
Pinkston high on that pitch. And we talked about the Capital Baseball Tournament, won by Frostburg. Exciting finish, beating Salisbury. Mary Washington was right there as well. And then as far as the lacrosse tournaments, again, you got to rate Salisbury men and women's team as the big favorites as a base hit for Bridgewater to start the top of the second inning.
I would agree with you that Salisbury's men and women's lacrosse teams are the favorites. But again, just as we saw in baseball, on any given day, a team can get hot and knock people off.
I'm not sure how good Washington College is in men's lacrosse, but I did see that Salisbury just obliterated them in men's lacrosse action over the weekend, and it just seems like on that bunt play, Pinkston fires down. The ball is dropped at first base, though, and so Bridgewater's got runners at first and second, nobody out here in the top of the second inning. It just seems like for lacrosse, both the men and women from Salisbury are just on a really big-time roll.
They are. They're starting to again get that swagger back, and that team chemistry has really come into play now as they've been able to work some kinks out during the year. We commented on the Salisbury women's lacrosse team when we saw them come here and play, just how fantastic they looked as a team.
Bridgewater has the first two runners on, nobody gone. Third baseman Jen Balcom, a sophomore, up there now. And Jen is just 5'2" from Powhatan, and she takes a pitch high. So Pinkston in trouble here. Gave up 3 runs in the first. First 2 runners have reached for Bridgewater here in the top of the second. Pinkston's pitch. High again. Pinkston really needs to get Balcom, the hitter. And that ball lined right past Cox. Could have been a big play. Instead, it's going to result in a Bridgewater run as Cox, a little handcuffed, it looked like, Mike, by that ball. Got to her very quickly. She had her glove there, but it skipped off the glove. Could have perhaps been a double play if one of the runners was straying off the base. Instead, it turns into a single and a 4-1 Bridgewater lead.
Yeah, that got onto her really fast, and it looked like it may even skipped off her glove and caught her throwing hand a little bit. Lucky that she didn't get a broken finger on that.
Pinkston ready to pitch. That ball fouled off. So Bridgewater has 2 on. Still nobody gone here in the top of the second. And now a 4-1 lead for the Eagles of Bridgewater.
And these are the things that we've seen during the season where the Knights have really started to give up big innings. Hopefully they can right the ship right now and come back and get a couple outs.
Pinkston's pitch. Low. Runner's going to steal third. And it's now first and third. Kind of surprised the other runner didn't go down to second base. And Jen Balcom, the third baseman. You might see that now, Mike.
Yeah, they created a first and third situation. Again, Bridgewater is a very young team too, and a first-year coach going through some learning curves.
And they'll take the second base steal now. So now it's second and third for Bridgewater.
And 2 people in scoring position, again, spells a lot of trouble for the Knights. We're looking for Jamie to really start to get the ball up in the zone so the Eagles start to get underneath it and get some fly balls.
Second and third, nobody gone. That ball high in the zone, but it's fouled off to the right side.
And that's where she wants to keep it, right up above the hands. If that happens, the Eagles can't keep their hands up on top of the ball and able to chop up underneath it and then do some fly balls.
Pinkston's pitch. High again. Here lately, Pinkston's been pitching both ends of the doubleheader. Of course, earlier in the season, Biggs would usually pitch the second game. That ball is grounded down to third, fielded, thrown over to first. Runner's going to score. Runner at first, apparently safe, and will go down to second base. So now 5-1 Bridgewater, still second and third, still nobody gone here in the top of the second for the Eagles. And again, now they've got 2 runners in scoring position with a 4-run lead.
Yeah, and he checked the runner just a little bit too long. That's a bang-bang play, and when it gets to a third baseman that fast, you don't even have to check the runner. Just throw it over to first as fast as you can. The first baseman has the play in front of her, and if she sees the runner take off, obviously go ahead and throw it home.
Now instead it's second and third, still nobody out. And Bridgewater on top here. 5-1 Eagles.
You know, it's got to be a little bit disconcerting for Jamie, as we know that she's a ground ball pitcher. She likes to keep the ball down low in the zone, but now having to try to keep the ball up in the air.
Ripped over Brandon's head, or Benda's head in right field. Going to score 2. Going to be a double. Now 7-1 Bridgewater, as that ball got out to right field to Bianca Mendez very quickly. And even if she had broken back on it a little quicker, Mike, I don't think she would have got to that ball. That ball not only hit hard, but it was rising.
Yeah, it was on the way up over her head, and just buried itself right at the base of the fence. They could have been playing back on the fence and maybe gotten a little bit closer to it, but would be about it.
So now runner at second base. Still nobody out. Now 7-1 Bridgewater on top here in the top of the second inning. Bridgewater scored 3 in the first, 4 in the second, and could be 5 here. The ball grounded into center field for a hit. Helms makes the pickup and throws home, but the runner is able to score from second base. 8-1 Bridgewater. And a single for Throckmorton, the junior outfielder. And now Bridgewater's on top here, 8-1.
And this is where you'd like to come in there and settle Jamie down a little bit by taking her out, let her catch her breath. Unfortunately, there's no one else to pitch for him.
That ball smoked down to shortstop. Cox with a good play, throws over to second base, but not able to make the put out at second base, as Brandon, the second baseman, was able to get over there, but just not before Throckmorton got down from first over to second. And so Bridgewater has runners at first and second. Still no one out here in the second inning.
And you can tell that Bailey's not a true second baseman. On the ball hit to the left side, true second baseman would have been already shifted over and started toward the second base. She got caught spectating, and
Cox made a good play.
Cox made a very good play. She was able to pick the ball up, and if Brandon would have made the right break, would have got the out. But unfortunately, Brandon's an outfielder by trade, and again, a lot of kids are playing in a lot of positions that they really don't feel comfortable in.
That ball hit down to third. Biggs makes the put out at third. Good play by Biggs to get the first out of the inning. So it's still first and second for Bridgewater. Now one gone.
Nice job by Annie to make sure she got the first out and then not compound anything, trying to make a spectacular play. Watching a Division I game the other night, they're trying to make a spectacular play on a double play and threw the ball away into the dugout. The runner on third scored, and that was the winning run for the game.
That pitch high from Pinkston. Well, you talked about all the players trying to juggle around and play different positions, and it takes more than a few games to really adjust to a new position.
Yeah, that's something that you practice on preseason, then right into the season coming up in January. You start getting back to those positions and going through the motions again. It's not something that you can just jump into 2 days before a game and say, all right, I'm going to be very good at this.
Pinkston with one out and runners at first and second. Bridgewater showing bunt. That's a strike. Pinkston trying to work out a further trouble with one gone here in the top of the second inning. 5 runs in for the Eagles. They lead 8-1. That pitch high from Jamie Pinkston.
And a rise ball is something that Jamie's really not comfortable with, but having to throw now, not just because of trying to induce fly balls, but the batter showed bunt before, and he wanted to throw that rise ball to try to induce a pop-up.
And that pitch is popped up and out of play to the left side. The Eagles have runners at first and second. One out here in the top of the second inning. Big inning for Bridgewater so far. They've scored 5.
Yeah, they're really seeing the ball well right now and just smacking the middle of it.
Pinkston's pitch swung on it, miss. That's a strikeout. That's out number 2 of the second inning. Now I believe Audra Kugler, the sophomore utility player, will come to the plate. First and second, now 2 out for Bridgewater. Pinkston's got the last 2 hitters out. That pitch is high.
And now the easy play again would be a little pop-up or a ground ball to Annie Biggs so she can step on third.
Took something off that pitch. Ball 2. That one was a swinging strike for the first strike against the hitter, Kugler. Yeah, good crowd so far, Mike, and hopefully a few more will show up to honor the seniors, the 3 seniors being honored today for the Knights. 1 strike pitch. Ball 3.
Oh, and that's the pitch that Jamie wanted right there, just a little bit off the plate, hoping that the umpire would expand his strike zone just a little bit. If Jamie gets that call, then things can start to turn around fast for the Knights.
3-1 pitch is fouled off. Now 3-2 on Kugler. Had senior day for baseball last weekend, not this past weekend, the weekend before. And had the women's lacrosse seniors honored last week. That ball grounded past Cox and into left field for a hit. Going to score a run. Runners will hold it now. They'll advance on the throw home and move up a base to second and third. So with 2 out, now 2 runners in scoring position for Bridgewater at second and third. And now it is 9-1 Eagles. They have scored 6 times here in the second inning.
Yeah, McKenzie tried to backhand that one instead of moving over and just blocking it with her body to keep the ball on the infield. But you can't blame her. She's taken a lot of bumps and bruises and abuse this season so
and they're
far.
little things, but when you throw home in a situation where you're probably not going to be able to get the run, if the other runners move up, what that does is take 1 in scoring position and turns it into 2. And Pinkston's pitch is hit towards the outfield, and it is going to be the 3rd out of the inning. So we're out of the second inning as far as Bridgewater is concerned, but it was a big inning for them. They score 6 times. And at the end of 1.5, it's Bridgewater on top here, 9-1. Yeah, Mike, good chance to maybe update some of these other tournaments. We talked about the Capital Baseball Tournament won by Frostburg. Christopher Newport won the women's softball tournament in the Capital Tournament. And we've got lacrosse action coming up here very shortly, I guess men and women?
Yeah, the men's tournament starts tomorrow. Mary Washington is at Christopher Newport in the first round. And then you have St. Mary's at York also in the first round. And then that'll lead into the quarterfinals. At with St. Mary's in Salisbury.
Base hit for the Knights to lead off this second inning as the Knights get the single. That ball placed perfectly, Mike, right beyond the reach of the second baseman for Bridgewater. So the Knights trailing here 9-1 as we start the second inning, the bottom of the second, but they get their first runner on.
Well, when you start giving up runs, the best thing to do is come back in and get the bats going, something that the Knights haven't been able to do on a lot of regularity earlier on in the season. Hopefully now they're starting to warm up and they're getting at least being able to see the ball much better and putting it into play in this last game.
So Keely Gray at first after getting a single. Brandon the hitter bunting on her first attempt and fouling it off. Second attempt, that's a bunt attempt. That's going to be called a strike. And now quickly 0-2 on the hitter. Who would you rate as the bigger favorite in lacrosse in the Capital Tournament, the men's from Salisbury or the women's team?
Oh, that's a tough one, Jim. I'd probably say it's the women's team because of the way they've played throughout the whole season. Now the men have turned it on lately and really found that championship form, but I would say that I would put my money on the women's team first.
And Brandon strikes out. So one gone with Gray at first. And the Knights trailing here 9-1 in the second inning. Speaking of lacrosse, we thought this might be our final webcast, athletic webcast for the season, Mike, but one more to go. men's lacrosse senior day for the Knights coming up on Saturday against Lees McRae. And they've got Keely Gray picked off first, and she is gone at second base.
Yeah, Keely strayed a little bit too far. Don't know if she did that on purpose to induce the throw to first base, but just not quick enough to beat the throw to second base.
And Lutz's pitch is swung on and missed. So Lees McRae will be the opponent for a men's lacrosse team coming up Saturday, 1 o'clock. It'll be senior day. And, of course, we'll have that for you. Swinging strike, and that is the third out of the inning for the Knights. We have play 2. It is Southern Virginia trailing here 9-1. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon here at Southern Virginia University. Softball today, and it's senior day for the Knights, honoring 3 seniors, and Jimmy Pinkston, Mackenzie Cox, and Lainey Thompson. And we played 2 innings. Bridgewater on top here, 9-1. Eagles on top. They scored 3 in the first, 6 in the second.
Yeah, hopefully we can see Jamie settle down a little bit, because the Eagles are really seeing whatever she's throwing in there and just hitting the middle of the ball hard.
And that ball drilled to shortstop off of Cox. Couldn't put it away, and it's going to be an error on Cox. And over to first base, Jen Balcom. So Bridgewater's got its first runner on here in the third inning. That ball really hit hard to shortstop. Even if Cox fields that cleanly, I'm not sure she's able to make the throw to first to get the runner.
It'd be a very great play for her to make if she could. Again, fielding it cleanly would have been the first thing, and then the throw, which is a long throw, because we see Mackenzie has really started playing deeper again in the hole.
One on, nobody gone for Bridgewater. Top of the third inning, and that ball hit to right field and caught. Nice catch by the right fielder, Bianca Mendez, making sure she didn't misjudge that ball. That's the first out of the inning, and she's had a couple of plays here early on in this ball game. So 1 gone, 1 on for Bridgewater. Pinkston trying to get out of this third inning without allowing any runs after giving up 9 in the first 2. Have to see how many of those were earned runs. That's been a problem for the Knights, obviously, throughout the season, Mike. When we mentioned all the errors, averaging about between 5 and 6 errors a game, and a lot of unearned runs, obviously, as Bridgewater's going to send another runner to second base on a steal attempt, and into second base goes Balcom with a steal.
Yeah, the runs in the first inning, the 3 runs in the first inning were all unearned, as they came off of 2 errors. In that second inning, the Eagles really just started hitting the ball very hard and finding the holes. On that steal attempt, it just looks like Lainey Thompson's not picking up the runner going.
That ball hit up the middle and through. Helms picks it up. Runner's going to score, and on the throw to home plate, the hitter's going to move up a base, Mike. That's one of those deals, I think, where, again, Helms just has to write off that run and throw the ball to second base to make sure the runner is at first and not second.
That, or throw the ball to the cutoff person. You always want to try to hit the cutoff person right in the head. That way they have the opportunity to either let it go or catch it and catch somebody going from first to second.
So 1 out, a runner at second. Bridgewater on top here now, 10-1. Pitch got away from Thompson momentarily, but not far enough for the runner to advance from second base. Brianna Cox is the runner at second. 1 out for Bridgewater here in the third inning. Pinkston's pitch low, and Cox is going to steal. The ball's thrown down over the head of Biggs, but alert play by Mackenzie Cox to back that play up, Mike. Otherwise, that ball's into left field, and Bridgewater has another run.
Yeah, Mackenzie just saved a throwing error there for Laney. Laney should take her out for dinner after after the games are over to say thanks.
That pitch is high. 10-1 Bridgewater here in the third inning. First game of a doubleheader. Seniors will be honored properly in between games. There's a called strike. Tell you one thing, Southern Virginia tennis team, especially the women's team, I think, actually had a pretty decent year. Got some victories and middle of the pack, I think, in the Capital Conference.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Dryden about it as soon as all the snow and the rain stopped, and they could actually get outside and practice. She made the comment because I think they beat York, and I congratulated her on that. She goes, "Yeah, imagine that. We get outside and practice, and we can actually do some things." I know it was very disappointing for both the men and the women's tennis teams this year, thinking that they could do something to get into the Capital Athletic Conference tournament, but the weather just really did a lot of stuff.
Another steal, and Bridgewater sends the runner from third home, and the runner who stole second moves up over to third base. And another run for Bridgewater, 11-1 now for Bridgewater, and they are running all over the base paths. I don't think I've seen the opposition try to steal this many bases before.
No, and again, they're using these games today as a springboard into what each coach is trying to formulate for the next season.
Yeah, because Bridgewater, Mike, came in 9-25. ODAC's got some good softball teams, though.
They do. Roanoke, Lynchburg has really started to take off.
Hit out to right field. Mendez can't get there in time. Scoops it up near the line. Holds it to a single. Another run home. 12-1 now, Bridgewater. The Eagles with some good balance. They scored 3 in the first. They've scored 3 here so far in the third. 6 runs in the second inning. Eagles have a runner at first, and they lead now 12-1.
And now the Knights are just looking to get some outs any way possible, and then trying to manufacture some runs in order to get them some momentum back into the game.
There's a called strike. Pinkston's next pitch took something off that, ripped down the right field line foul. Well, the Knights had to have a lot of confidence, with that Emory and Henry game last week, and probably came in today thinking, Emory and Henry, maybe a superior team to Bridgewater. We might have a chance at getting a victory today, their first one of the season, and that still might happen in Game 2, Mike. But right here in Game 1, Bridgewater has really hit the ball effectively, and there's a high pitch, and they have jumped out to an 11-run lead.
Yeah, the Eagles have found their offense that they've been missing for the most part of the season. They found it today here at the field at Southern Virginia.
Pinkston's pitch low.
And I know Jamie's getting a little frustrated, but she's really got to try to just focus on her mechanics, not overthrow. When you start seeing the ball go way up over the batter and the catcher's head, she's just trying to overthrow.
And that ball hit foul down the left field line. I was going to bring up maybe the point of her arm getting tired, but I imagine by this point of the season, that's a moot point.
Yeah, well, our training staff does a very good job of taking care of all our athletes, but especially the pitchers with baseball and softball.
Well, you hear so much in baseball about pitch count. I don't think it's a big concern this season for Jamie Pinkston.
No, there's no pitch count for Jamie. It's just a number to her that she'll look back on the season in a few weeks and go, I did what?
So now first and second for Bridgewater after Pinkston walks the hitter. 2 on, 1 gone here in the top of the third inning.
While they bring in a pinch hitter. Update from a lacrosse game on the women's side. The quarterfinals for the CAC. St. Mary's is ahead of Frostburg, 15-5 with 5:55 to go in the second half.
If it wasn't for Salisbury, I'd say look out for St. Mary's. And probably the same way in the men when you take a look at maybe Frostburg. Really, really good ball club, lacrosse team. But, I mean, how do you beat Salisbury, though? Although they came close.
With a stick. You have to beat them with a stick. You just catch Salisbury on a bad day. But, again, like you said, they really started to put things together and started to look like the team that was.
Although a couple weeks ago they went to Frostburg, and I think they won by 1 in overtime, I believe. Swung on and missed. Pinkston now facing a freshman pinch hitter here from Vinton, from William Byrd High School, in Jessica Dawson. Pitch is fouled back. And the men's lacrosse team for Southern Virginia, one more game on the schedule. They originally were going to play, I guess, Millsaps. That got canceled. And now they've got last game scheduled against Lees McRae coming up Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, Lees McRae out of Banner Elk, North Carolina. Great skiing town. Really good basketball teams.
Popped up. Biggs makes the put out. Runners hold positions. Nobody's going to be doubled up there. 2 gone, 2 on here in the third. 12-1 Bridgewater. Looks like we're getting a few more fans wandering in, and should maybe hopefully be a really good crowd for game 2 when they salute the seniors in between games.
Yeah, this is getting to be the part of the year though that people are really starting to stress out. Exams are coming up, projects are being due. It's nice to see some of the students being able to get outside and let some of the stress go.
And of course, coaches and faculty and staff are cutting grass.
Yeah, because it's going to rain again.
There you go.
And we don't have time to do it over the weekend because we'll be doing lacrosse.
There you go. Saturday, 1 o'clock. Pinkston's pitch, trying to get the third out, fouled back.
And you can hear the encouragement from Pinkston's teammates, just trying to keep her going, keep her going, keep her going.
Pinkston's pitch took something off that one. She really hasn't been able to get them to really drive the ball up in the air like you've talked about, Mike. They've hit a lot, and a lot of the shots have been on the ground.
Well, just like Brandon coming in playing second base, it takes a little while to adjust to that. Jamie is a down ball pitcher, and trying to keep the ball up in the zone is just goes against her grain. It's not something that she's very comfortable with, not something that she practices a lot, and so we're just not seeing her be very effective with it.
Trying to get Kugler for the third out of the inning. 12-1 Bridgewater. And the pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. That's the third out. And we are through 2.5 here from Southern Virginia University. Bridgewater 12 and the Knights 1. We're ready to go. Bottom of the third inning. Knights trailing here 12-1. Bridgewater on top, and they've had a lot of scoring throughout the first three innings, Mike. 3 in the first, 6 in the second, 3 in the third for Bridgewater, and just 1 run for the Knights so far today.
And a lot of that has to deal with the ball getting to the outfield. The outfielders trying to throw the runners out at home plate, just don't have the arm strength to do it, and that allows the other runners to move up into scoring position, so a single can bring 2 home.
And a few errors on the infield. Otherwise, this may well be a 4 to 5-1 game.
Well, right now, offensively, the Knights just have to get bat on ball, put the ball in play, force the defense to throw them out.
Lutz's pitch is low.
Unfortunately for the Knights, there's just not a lot of hitting prowess this year.
Came in averaging, as a team, batting average 170.
Yeah, Coach Hall has done all she can to keep this team together, keep them going forward. They have progressed from the beginning of the season to now, but just no standouts in the batting box.
And there is a strikeout by Mendez for the first out of the inning. Yeah, as we talked about early on, I think without question the defense was the problem. A lot of errors, 7, 8, 9 errors in the game, and then once the Knights started to shore up their defense, then they started capital play. That's where they really saw their hitting tail up because of the quality pitching you can see in the Capital Conference.
Oh, a lot of quality pitching, and not just one pitcher, but they have pitching staffs that they can throw out a starter and then a setup man or a finisher, and then the next game you see totally different pitches.
Pinkston grounds to first, quickly 2 out here for the Knights in the bottom of the third inning.
So that's one thing that Coach Hall is going to be looking for a lot of is extra pitchers. You want to have at least 3 on the staff. That way you can mix and match them, and you want the pitchers to be totally different. You want an up ball pitcher, you want a down ball pitcher, and you want someone that can just blow smoke.
I'm sure that's the biggest question a lot of folks have really about all sports here at Southern Virginia, but maybe the spring sports where we've really have seen some tough times for men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, and women's softball today, Mike, is what's the timetable, I guess you could say, for being a situation where you're going to win 5 or 6 or 7 games in a season? And what's the timetable for advancing beyond that to maybe one of the top tier teams of the Capital Conference?
Well, you want to give a incoming coach at least 4 years to put their program together. That gives them a full recruiting cycle and to get the players in that they actually
what happened to the 5-year plan I read so much about?
Yeah.
Or is that more professional?
I think that's more professional. But you give them 4 years, you start to see some improvement during that 4 years, then they, they're on the right track. So obviously, Coach Slam with the men's lacrosse, he's in his 2nd year now, and we've seen some progress there. But I'm sure he wants to take bigger leaps. Nancy Weber in her 1st year,
Yep.
and Coach Hall in her 1st year here, they've hit bottom, and so now they got nowhere to go but up.
And Logan Mann's baseball team didn't make the Capital tournament, but could have easily made it if maybe that Christopher Newport game, maybe one of those Wesley games of the doubleheader. And that Newport game's a perfect example, leading 4-0. Rains come. They play the rest of the game the following day, end up losing that game. Again, just a couple of games go a different way, and the Knights are into the Capital baseball tournament.
Yeah, I know Coach Mann is very disappointed. He had very high hopes at the beginning of the season. His office is right beside mine, and we talk a lot. And on paper, they should have been one of the top 6.
And halfway
baseball
through
teams.
the schedule, they were 4-5 and right in position to make the tournament. They were in the top 6 easily.
Yeah, that's why you play the games. That's why Frostburg beat Salisbury, who was ranked number 1 in the nation. You just have to go out there and you have to perform. You just can't bring in accolades and say, well, they're going to be a really good team. You have to
And the Knights actually, I think, had the misfortune of seeing some of these teams play much, much better down the stretch. I mean, Wesley is a perfect example. I mean, early in the season, you'd have looked and seen that home doubleheader and said, hey, we got a couple of easy wins there, and Wesley was one of the better teams down the stretch.
Well, that's why you're in the Capital Conference is you know that day in and day out it's going to be a tough game, no matter what sport you're in. It's just going to be a tough game because each one of the coaches and staffs really develop their teams as they get further and further into the season.
Katie Rose Helms getting a infield single now with 2 gone. Mackenzie Cox is the hitter here in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, she was able to sneak it underneath the shortstop's glove. The shortstop was really drawn in, And so all Katie Rose really had to do is get it about 2 or 3 feet to her left or right for the single.
Helms at first base. Ball gets away from the first baseman on the throw down. Katie Rose not going to try for second.
I guess better safe than sorry. You get on first base, you want to make sure that you're playing station to station, and right now anything that would cause the out to happen, you want to stay away from.
Big swing and a low pitch by Mackenzie Cox for a strike. That pitch was down around her ankles.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of anxiousness there for Mackenzie.
Pitch is grounded foul. 2 gone. Helms is at first base, and the Knights trail here 12-1 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Amanda Lutz, senior right-handed pitcher for Bridgewater. Ready to pitch to another senior in Mackenzie Cox with 2 gone. Took something off that pitch, and it's fouled out of play, right back behind home plate.
And Mackenzie did a great job of keeping her hands back. Even though her weight came forward, her hips opened up, she was able to keep her hands back long enough just to foul the ball off.
She was really fooled, I think, by that speed.
And all Mackenzie really wants to do with the ball right now is just get the ball onto the green and let Katie Rose use her speed to get around the bases.
That pitch low. Good eye by Cox there.
Outfield's playing Mackenzie pretty much straight up.
And Lutz ready to throw it. And that pitch is inside. Cox draws a walk. Helms will go down to second base. So Helms is at second base. Cox is at first. There are 2 gone for the Knights here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. They trail 12-1.
And Mackenzie did a great job of being patient. We saw her being very aggressive on one of those first swings with the ball down in the dirt. Was able to come back, work her way back to getting on first base.
And now Annie Biggs to the plate with 2 on and 2 gone. Biggs looking for a big hit. Drives it to a shortstop. Shortstop makes the play, but it's not going to be able to get Biggs at first. And that's going to be bases loaded with 2 gone now for the Knights as the shortstop kind of patted her glove, and maybe she thought about trying to go to third, but by the time she made that decision, she threw over to first, and by that time Biggs had beat it out. So now bases are loaded for the Knights with 2 outs. And here comes Lainey Thompson, another senior, with an opportunity to drive home some runs in this 12-1 ball game.
Yeah, I'm sure Katie Rose also distracted the shortstop as she kind of got in front of her and had a little hitch and go for, and then finally took off.
And don't forget about maybe walking in a run. That's ball 1 right there from Lutz to Thompson.
The Knights will take a run any way they can get it. Although a hit right now to the outfield would score 2, because I'm sure they'd be sending Mackenzie Cox on in also.
Well, being senior day, Thompson would love to drive this over the fence for a home run for a grand slam.
Yeah, that'd be the greatest ending, but
swung on a miss there. 2 strikes.
Let's just get the ball to the outfield right now.
Thompson jumped on top 1-0, but has picked up 2 strikes now, 1-2. And Lutz's 2-strike pitch is hit into the air to the second baseman, who puts it away for out number 3. We are through 3 innings. It is Bridgewater 12 and the Knights 1. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon, ready for the top of the fourth inning. We have played 3. It is Bridgewater on top here, 12-1 over the Knights on Senior Day.
It'd be nice to see the Knights come out, make a stiff stand, get their first 3 up, 3 down inning, get back in and try to get the bats going.
They gave up 3 in the first. Bridgewater scored then 6 in the second and got 3 more in the third inning. So the fourth inning ready to go, and we'll see how Pinkston does. Looking for her first 1-2-3 inning. That ball grounded down to Biggs. Makes the play. Fires over, and that is out number 1. Good play by Annie Biggs to get that ball to first in plenty of time to get the runner.
And that's more like it, Jim. 1 pitch, 1 out. If the Knights can do that the rest of this game and going into the second game, good things could start to happen.
Well, you'd love to see them end the season with a victory, Mike. In game number 2, most likely down here by 11 in game number 1. There's a called strike.
Yeah, but you never want to give up. As long as you have outs, you still have hope, and I'm sure that's what Coach Hall is trying to teach these young ladies is keep battling through to the very end.
That pitch is high and outside, ball 1. That pitch is grounded. Nice play by Biggs. Fires and got out number 2. Good stab by Biggs. Took her time. Didn't throw it away at first base. Nice throw over to Keely Gray. 2 gone here in the fourth inning for Bridgewater.
It looks like the defense has finally arrived. Starting to take advantage of those ground balls that Jamie's throwing.
Pinkston's first pitch is a ball outside. After giving up 12 runs in the first 3 innings, Pinkston trying to get a 1-2-3 fourth inning. That pitch is fouled up into the air, and no one can make the play. Thompson tries to grab it. First baseman and the pitcher, Pinkston and Thompson, the catcher, all converging, and it looked like there was a little miscommunication. No one, I'm not sure anybody really said, "I've got it." Thompson took a stab at it, but bounces it away in foul territory.
Yeah, that was hit just right in the perfect spot in between all 3 of them, so no one really had the advantage of trying to get to it. Laney had the hardest time, though.
Grounded right back to Pinkston, who throws to first. It's a 1-2-3 inning. We have played 3.5. It is Bridgewater on top here, 12-1. Ready to go, bottom of the fourth inning after a 1-2-3 inning for the Knights, shutting down Bridgewater, Mike, in the top of the fourth. And now bottom of the fourth inning, Knights down here by 11, 12-1, trying to get some runs to stay in this game. Otherwise, it'll be a 5-inning ball game today.
Yeah, first 1-2-3 inning of the game today. Great way to start building momentum, see if the Knights can take advantage of that.
And that pitch is hit right back to Lutz, the pitcher. Fires over to first. Nice strong throw. And she's able to get the hitter Keely Gray for out number 1 here in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Bailey Brandon coming up, and we've seen her really drive the ball in some earlier games. Today she's kind of struggled at the plate.
And she swings over that pitch for strike 1.
Yeah, Bailey's got a lot of her weight going forward and not able to transfer the weight properly on that back leg.
Lutz is the pitcher here in game one. It looks like they've got warming up in the bullpen. Hannah Trela, she's a freshman pitcher, maybe the game two pitcher. And as you mentioned, Mike, unless the Knights can make a comeback here, this game is headed for a 5-inning affair, in which case the Knights will have to put all of their attention on beating Bridgewater in game two of the doubleheader, the nightcap, to try to get win number one of the season.
Yeah, this is a game that they're trying to really start to just find the ball, be able to get their offense back into some shape and form, and then put all their eggs in their baskets for the second game.
And Brandon swings and misses. Catcher drops the ball, throws down to first base, and that is the second out. So 2 outs for the Knights here in the bottom of the fourth.
Well, time for a little 2-out rally. Did you bring your rally monkey?
Yeah, Craig.
Craig's going to be our rally monkey. All right.
What's he got to do to really get a good rally going?
Oh, he's got to stand on his head and do all his producing at the same time.
That pitch swung on and missed. Lutz is really bringing it here in the fourth inning. Pitcher for Bridgewater. That's another called or swinging strike.
Yeah, she's really found a home for that curveball right now, just hitting that outside corner consistently.
Lutz is trying to get her own 1-2-3 inning, and she does with the strikeout. So we're through 4. It's Bridgewater on top here, 12-1. Ready to go, top of the fifth inning. It is Southern Virginia trailing here in game one of this doubleheader against Bridgewater. Bridgewater on top 12-1. Both teams getting 1-2-3 innings in the fourth, Mike. And now Pinkston tried to shut Bridgewater down here in the fifth and allow her team to maybe try to make at least a comeback in the fifth inning to get enough runs to send this beyond 5 innings.
Well, Jamie also wants to try to make sure she gets that 1-2-3 inning to keep that momentum for herself. We know that if we go to that second game, that she most likely will be the pitcher in the second game, and she wants to make sure that she's feeling good about her strike zone and being able to hit it.
And Brianna Cox, the lefty hitter, is up there, and she's had a big game today. Has really stroked the ball pretty good. She's from Louisa, Virginia. That pitch is high. Lefty-lefty matchup here as we start the fifth inning. 3 seniors today for the Knights. Mackenzie Cox, Jamie Pinkston the pitcher, Lainey Thompson the catcher, and they will be honored in between games as the ball's hit down to second base. Brandon makes a throw over to first. Nice play there by Brandon at second base, and 1 gone for the Eagles here in the fifth inning.
Oh, we almost had a little catastrophe out on the field. One of the coach's children got loose and went running towards first base, where it looks like her mother is the first base coach. And, oh, that could have been bad.
I didn't see it. I thought maybe you were saying, and that dog is going to run onto the field.
No, that'd be fine. Let the dog run out onto the field.
I haven't had that occur at a Knights sporting event where a dog has actually disrupted play, have we?
No, not yet. I'm sure it will happen at some point, though. Or what could be worse, a squirrel would run out into the turf field during the middle
Squirrel, rabbit,
of
yeah. Groundhog, maybe.
Football game or a lacrosse game or a soccer game.
probably would have been good in that Columbia College game in the final seconds.
Exactly.
In that women's lacrosse game. One gone for Bridgewater here in the 5th. Pinkston trying to get the hitter out. Ball's hit right to Biggs, and she grabs it. I believe she's set down 6 in a row now at least. So Pinkston seems to be on a roll after the rough start in the first 3 innings.
Yeah, she was struggling in those first 3 innings, not so much with control, but just no movement on the ball, and the Bridgewater Eagles hitters were just really able to take advantage of that, hit the middle of the ball, and drive it to the outfield.
Yeah, Pinkston getting a strike there. It is 12-1 Bridgewater here in the top of the 5th inning. 2 quick outs for the Eagles. Pinkston trying for her second straight 1-2-3 inning, and there's a called strike. Pinkston's pitch is high.
Going back to that rise ball, trying to make her chase it out of the zone, but just a little bit too high. You got to keep that ball right underneath the chin for that high chase strike.
Pinkston's pitch is off the catcher's mitt ball too. You wonder now with the defense starting to shore up a little bit, especially the infield, Mike, what the approach might be in game number 2. Just a normal approach, maybe try to keep it low, or is still high again, you think?
I think that with Jamie, you just have to let her. It'll be her last game. Just let her go out and throw the ball the way that she's most comfortable with.
That ball grounded right back to Jamie, who throws out over to first base for out number 3. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 5th with the Knights down here 12-1. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon, senior day here for women's softball. Final home doubleheader of the season. The Knights taking on Bridgewater. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Knights trail here 12-1, and Mike, they're going to have to score some runs, 4 to be exact. Otherwise, this game will be a shortened down 5-inning affair for the Knights in game 1.
And Bridgewater's brought in the freshman Hannah Trela to try to close this game out.
You wonder if Trela might start game 2, or if they might just go right back to Lutz, who pitched pretty well.
On their roster, they have 6 pitchers. So just trying to get some work in, or maybe this is just the warm-up for Trela.
And Trela has a interesting delivery, a lot of herky-jerky motion before she releases the ball, and there's a strike 1 to start the bottom of the 5th inning for her.
And with her being 5'11", that can really cause some distractions.
Low pitch there, 1-1. Bianca Mendez, the hitter. She played pretty well in right field today. Had a couple of putouts, Mike, and didn't misplay any balls. Played very well in the outfield.
Yeah, she's done very well. Now we've got to try to translate that defensive prowess over into the offensive side.
Swinging strike there, and the catcher drops it, but throws over to first base for the putout, and 1 gone for the Knights here in the 5th inning. Now here comes the senior left-handed hitting the pitcher, Pinkston. She is the one that scored the only run today for the Knights in game number 1. Got a hit in the first inning. Scored on Cox's hit. Trela's pitch is low. Quick moving game, Mike. Once you got really about 2.5 innings into the game.
Yeah, once the errors dissipated and Jamie really started to find the strike zone with movement, the innings have really moved on pretty fast.
And Trela with a 2-0 count on Pinkston. That pitch is fouled back. 2-1 now. And that second game, again, the last chance for the Knights to pick up a victory this season, unless they have a massive comeback here in game number 1, Mike. And in game number 2, we'll get there, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they start that ball game, because they got behind the 8 ball here in this ball game early, giving up 3 to Bridgewater in the first inning, and then, of course, the 6 spot in the second inning.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd like to start this next game out like they started out against Emory and Henry. Get up on them early and maintain control.
Pinkston draws the walk with 1 gone, and here is Helms. So the left-hand hitting number 2 hitter, Katie Rose Helms, will come to the plate with 1 on and 1 gone for the Knights in the 5th inning. Everybody in tight on the infield. And a strike called. Kind of surprised the left and center fielder aren't a little closer in.
Well, with this lead
to third base, they'll go to the first base for the out. Take the sure out at first, and Pinkston's down to second, Mike, with now 2 gone.
Yeah, with the lead that Bridgewater has, they just want to make sure that nothing gets back behind them. So anything that stays in front of them, they're totally fine with. They just don't want to get anything over their top of their heads.
So here is the senior shortstop, Mackenzie Cox. Drove home Pinkston in the first. Trying to do it again here in the 5th inning. The Knights are down to their last out unless they can make a comeback. Down by 11 runs here in the 5th inning. 2 outs, and Pinkston, the runner, at second base. And Trela's pitch is a called strike on the outside corner.
And it would be nice to see the 2 seniors hook up again and score at least 1 more run in this game.
Knights had one really big opportunity, Mike. Thompson was the hitter. Bases were loaded, 2 were out, and they were hoping for a big hit, at least a single for 2 runs, maybe a bases clearing double, but they were able to get the out, Bridgewater was, and that was a huge out for the Eagles to make sure the Knights really didn't have any scoring outbreaks here, as Trail is trying to put this one away here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, once you get runners in scoring position, it's really important that you go ahead and do whatever you can to bring them in, and the batting average with runners in scoring position for the Knights is down lower than their regular batting average, which we just mentioned earlier was 170. So
have to check out the box score too if we can get it. But what would you think? Bridgewater maybe had 6, 7, 8 steals today. Pitches popped up and out of play foul. A lot of steals early in the game for Bridgewater in those first 3 innings.
Yeah, they really took advantage of the Knights, especially with Lainey Thompson back behind the plate. With the left-handed hitters, she really couldn't see the runners taking off until it was too late. And then when you hesitate and the bases only being 60 feet apart, you really have no chance to throw them out.
Trail's 2-strike pitch. Ball to Cox. So Cox is at first. Pinkston is now at second. And there are 2 outs for the Knights here in the 5th inning. Now here is Andy Biggs with Lainey Thompson on deck.
We'd like to see Annie revert back to those first couple games that we broadcast where she was hitting doubles all the time.
Yeah, she was really ripping the ball in the first few games back in March we were doing. And she's got a chance to bring home Pinkston here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Trela's pitch is hit foul down the left field line by Biggs. Trela trying to shut down the Knights here in the 5th for Bridgewater's 10th victory of the season. Knights in danger of falling to 0-25 on the season with just 1 game to go, the second game of this doubleheader against Bridgewater. Trela's pitch fouled back by Annie.
Oh, and that's the pitch that Annie will want back right there. That was right up in her wheelhouse. Just cut up underneath it.
Trela trying to get out number 3 here in the 5th inning and end this one in the first game of a doubleheader. And Trela's pitch to Biggs is ripped into center field for a base hit. Pinkston rounds and is going to be held at third base. So now the Knights have bases loaded with 2 outs, and here comes Lainey Thompson up, just like a couple of innings ago when she had bases loaded 2 outs.
Well, big moment for the seniors again coming up. Hopefully Lainey doesn't try to do too much with it. Just do what Annie did and take the ball back right up the middle.
Knights are down by 11. Rule after 5 innings, 8-run spread, game's over. And Lainey Thompson trying to drive home at least a couple with a single here. High pitch, ball 1.
And when they brought Trela into the game, I'm sure they weren't imagining this of loading the bases.
Thompson's pitch is hit to short, fielded, throw to first, scooped.
Called safe.
And it's going to be an infield hit for Lainey Thompson to make it 12-2. So now bases are still loaded with 2 outs. The lead is down to 10 now, 12-2 with 2 gone here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Thompson hit that to deep short, and it was really going to be a tough play for the Eagles. Now Keely Gray with bases loaded, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning, and swung on a miss, strike 1.
Yeah, that was a big swing by Keely, looking like she wants to take the ball over the fence. She needs to shorten up that swing a little bit, get to contact, and then drive out through the ball.
Trela's 0-1 pitch fouled back, and now the Knights are down to their last strike here, 0-2. Bases loaded for the Knights. 2 are gone here in the bottom of the 5th. 12-2 score. Trela's 2-strike pitch hit down to second base. And the throw over to first. And that is going to be out number 3. And this game is over. As Bridgewater picks up win number 10 on the season in game 1 of this doubleheader, Mike. Knocking off the Knights 12-2, who now drop to 0-25 on the season.
Yeah, just a little bit dug themselves too much of a hole in the first 3 innings. The last couple innings, the last 2 innings were much, much better. The Knights got on a little roll. Jamie was able to get the ball moving up and down in the zone. Hopefully we see more of that in the second game.
And we'll take a short break. We're going to have senior day activities coming up in between games, and we'll have that for you as they honor, again, the 3 seniors, and Jimmy Pinkston, Lainey Thompson, and Mackenzie Cox. And, of course, about 20-25 minutes away, we will have game 2 of this doubleheader for you between Bridgewater and Southern Virginia. Final score in game 1. It is Bridgewater 12, Southern Virginia 2. We'll take a little break here from the fields at Southern Virginia University. Again, it's senior day today. Game one of the doubleheader is incomplete, and Bridgewater beat Southern Virginia in game one of the doubleheader 12-2. Second game coming up in about 15 minutes. And again, senior day today. 3 seniors are being honored down on the diamond, Mike, and that includes Mackenzie Cox, Lainey Thompson, and, of course, also Jamie Pinkston. And first up to be honored today will be Mackenzie Cox, native of Utah. In her 3 seasons playing softball, Mackenzie batting .212 with 38 hits and 179 at-bats, 7 career RBI, 5 career doubles, and she is 5th for the Knights with 71 games started. And in her 3 seasons, she has played either shortstop or second base. Last year, Cox was named to the CAC All-Academic Team, also to the USCAA All-Academic Team for the 2014 spring semester, and she was named to the Provost list in the fall as well. So Mackenzie Cox, once again, named to the President's list in the fall of 2011. And Mackenzie, formerly Mackenzie Lundquist, married her husband Tyler in the summer of 2013, and she's a business management and leadership major, and she is being escorted by her husband, Tyler Cox. So Mackenzie Cox, Mike, one of 3 seniors being honored today. And we'll say this about all 3. You're going to be tough to replace Mackenzie out there.
Yeah, she's really held down, like she said, either the shortstop or second base, a natural second baseman, has really been a stalwart and a building block for the Knights.
So Mackenzie Cox being honored, one of 3 seniors. Up next will be, in just a few seconds here, Jamie Pinkston.
And this is kind of a bittersweet day for all the seniors. They look forward to this day as being, moving on to the next part of their life, but then they look back on their playing career and they just can't believe it's over.
Well, Jamie Pinkston is going to be honored now, native of California, finishing her 2nd season as a Southern Virginia Knight. In 48 career games, she has pitched 197 innings and recorded 59 strikeouts with an earned run average of 10.2. In 35 career starts, she has 3 shutouts, 2 against Maine Presque Isle, and also 1 against Penn State Harrisburg. She is now 2nd in Knights history for innings pitched, complete games pitched, batters faced, and shutouts. And her stats at the plate, by the way, include 91 at-bats in 51 games with 23 hits and 6 career RBIs. And she also has 4 career doubles that came this year, including a couple of doubles in Game 1 against Maine Presque Isle. And she leads the team with a batting average going into today of .260. Jamie was named to the CAC All-Academic Team last year, and she also received USCAA All-Academic Honors last spring and was named to the Provost list in the fall of 2013 and the President and Provost list in the spring of 2013. And she'll be graduating next month, by the way, with a Bachelor of Arts in Computer Sciences, and she's going to be escorted by a couple of ladies out there, Mike.
Losahina Falavai Etuna and Malia Falavai.
And, of course, I believe Losahina was on the softball team
earlier
this year.
She was on the softball team.
Playing first base.
Yeah, just some of her academics became more important to her, which is something that our provost is really proud of. And she wanted to make sure that all the hard work she put in the fall carried over into the spring.
We've talked about these athletes making these academic lists. I know we've talked about that with you, Mike, earlier this year, is how these athletes can do it, male or female, juggling academics and athletics.
It is a really tough juggling act for them, and you have to just go ahead and love them to death for all the efforts they give, both in the classroom and out on their field.
And the final senior to be honored will be Lainey Thompson. Lainey, by the way, the only 4-year player on the Knights roster. Since her freshman year, she has played in 111 games. She is first in Knights history with 103 softball starts. After playing 2 seasons, she served a mission in Manchester, New Hampshire from 2011 to 12. And in 192 career at-bats, which ranks 4th, by the way, in Knights history, she has 41 hits, a batting average of .214, 9 career doubles, 15 career RBI. And this season, Lainey Thompson leads the Knights with 4 doubles. And before catching this season, Lainey played in the outfield, recording 68 putouts in 3 years out in the outfield. She is majoring in liberal arts and minoring in athletic training and is being escorted today by her parents, Scott and Michelle, and her brother, Chad.
And again, all three of these young ladies have really come in to lay the groundwork for the team to really take off from this point forward.
And you mentioned the coaches really wanting to find a way to get the new players out there, and at the same time they're going to have to replace 3 starters here: Lainey Thompson, Mackenzie Cox, and Jamie Pinkston.
And the quality of those young ladies are just something that you're not going to be able to replace. They could go out and find people to replace the jerseys, put a person in the jersey, but finding the quality people is going to be really tough for Coach Hall.
Not to mention 3 crucial positions there normally: shortstop, catcher, pitcher.
Yeah, right up the middle is where you want to be the most strong, and now you're going to be losing all your middle fielders. So, we talked a little bit about Jamie and how she's been first in shutouts and innings pitched. I'm sure she's also first in number of pitches for her career.
And, of course, Lainey Thompson, too, playing 4 years softball for the Knights. And just 1 game left for these 3 seniors, and Mackenzie, Lainey, and Jamie. And they would like in Game 2, Mike, to go out a winner.
Yeah, it'd be nice for them to have that final success in their final game. In order for them to do that, they're going to have to really limit the number of errors that they had from the first game, and also do a little bit more on the offensive end as far as putting the ball in play.
And Bridgewater won the first game today, 12-2. Game 2 is just a few minutes away, so we'll take a little break. Stay with us for Game 2 of this doubleheader between Bridgewater and Southern Virginia. Welcome back to Southern Virginia University. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon, ready for game 2 of this doubleheader. Seniors were honored in between. First game, of course, it was Bridgewater over Southern Virginia 12-2, Mike, and now the final game of this 2015 softball season for the Knights, who are trying to get their first victory of the season. 0-25 now after that first game loss. Bridgewater 10-25 on the season, and the Knights would love to wrap up Senior Day with a victory.
Yeah, it'd be a great way to end the season off, especially for those 3 seniors. Also, we talked about some ways that they could do that and limit the errors and get something going on the offensive side.
Jamie Pinkston, game 2 pitcher. And first pitch, ball 1. She had a rough first 3 innings of game 1, giving up all of the runs in the first 3 innings, but then really clicked in innings 4 and 5 with 1, 2, 3 innings. There's a ground ball to short. Mackenzie Cox, good field, throws over, and one gone, error in the first.
And that's a great way for the Knights to start out this game.
Knights would love to get a 1, 2, 3 inning here to start game 2 and launch in with their own offense and really go about getting their first victory of the season. There's a ground ball right in front of the plate. And Gray, swipe tag.
Missed it.
And they're going to say safe. That was a tough situation. A little further away from the catcher. Pitcher couldn't handle it. Gray had to get there, and she had to get there in a hurry, Mike, to make that swipe tag. And just the runner, by the time she was able to get a hold of the ball, was by her.
Yeah, just a little excuse me swing. Didn't even mean to do it, but found the exact spot it needed to be at.
And here comes a steal. Throw down, and just into second base is the base runner. Good strong throw that time by Thompson, but Nyquist got down to second base, and looks like Bridgewater stealing a lot of bases, especially in the first 3 innings of game 1. Looks like they may want to run here in game 2 to help generate some offense.
Yeah, you think they're trying to put the game out of reach early on in the first inning, and that's one way to do it, is to put a lot of pressure on the defense.
Brianna Cox, good left-handed hitter. Hits this ball straight up, though, and it is caught for out number 2. Bailey Brandon making the catch. 2 gone now for Bridgewater here in the first.
And already a much better start than in the first game. Seeing Jamie keeping the ball down low, but there's a little bit more movement on the ball as it's coming in, which is causing the batters to get up underneath the ball.
2 outs, runner at first for Bridgewater. Knights trying to get out of this first inning without allowing a run. They gave up 3 in the first in game 1, 6 in the second, 3 runs in the third, and by the third inning, Knights were trailing 12-1. Ended up losing that game 12-2. Pinkston's pitch ripped to third base off of Biggs, knocks it down, keeps it in front of her. Runner gets back to second, so now Bridgewater has runners at first and second, and 2 out.
And again, a good job by Annie keeping the ball in the infield. Although she wasn't able to make the play, she didn't do anything to make anything worse. So now runners on first and second, which sets up a 4-set first, second, and third.
Kingston will go to work on the hitter, trying to get out of the first inning without allowing a run. And this ball grounded to Brandon. Fields throws, and that is it for Bridgewater in the first inning. We have played a half inning. The Knights nothing, and Bridgewater nothing, and the Knights are coming up to hit. Going to be Jamie Pinkston, one of the three seniors honored today on Senior Day to start off the bottom of the first for the Knights, and they're going to be facing Brianna Cox. Hits left, throws right. 5'8" junior pitcher for Bridgewater. So the Knights lost the first game 12-2. In game two, trying for their first victory of the season, trying to send the three seniors out on a positive note in this 2015 season. They'll try to get their offense going here in game two after shutting down Bridgewater in the top of the first inning for no runs.
Yeah, I've already started out better than the first game, as you talked about. No errors, no runs for the Knights in that top half of the inning. Now we just got to make sure that the bats start going.
Can't really look for big innings, Mike, as you mentioned earlier. Just really need to get the bat on the ball and just take it one step at a time.
Yeah, 4 singles would be great right now.
There's a called strike. Knights left some runners on base, of course, in that first game. Lady Thompson twice came up with the bases loaded, not able to deliver on Senior Day a hit or two that might have driven in 2 or 3 or 4 more runs. Here comes the pitch to Pinkston, driven up the middle, base hit. So Pinkston, becoming the best hitter right now for the Knights, leads off the game with a single for the Knights here in the bottom of the first inning. And now here comes Katie Rose Helms, the number 2 hitter.
Yeah, and anytime you hit the ball straight back up the middle, that just shows you're right on time. You're not trying to do too much with your swing, just trying to get to contact and then extend through it. Great job by Jamie. We need to see the rest of the Knights follow suit.
Helms looking at a bunt, but takes a strike. Katie Rose trying to advance Pinkston if nothing else, Mike, and she's got a choice here to try to bunt her over or to slap hit. 0-1 pitch, swung on and missed on a very low pitch.
And with Bridgewater playing with their second baseman up and their first baseman back, you see the shortstop will start to move to her right also. Jamie could go ahead and steal without a bunt attempt.
Are you surprised that she hasn't, since the whole purpose seemingly is to try to, if nothing else, get her to second base?
I am very surprised, but again, Jamie's your only pitcher that's been working lately, and you don't want to do anything that may get her injured.
2 strikes on Helms. Nobody gone for the Knights here in the bottom of the first inning. See if they bunt again or just try to advance her with a slap hit. And Helms fouls it off again. Still 2 strikes. Helms, just a freshman, has 2 strikes on her. And Cox's pitch swung on, missed, strike 3. Big out there for Bridgewater.
Yeah, that's just poor execution, not being able to move the runner over to second base. But also, maybe you wanted Katie Rose to take a pitch and see if Jamie couldn't just straight out steal.
Now Mackenzie Cox with Pinkston at second base. And Mackenzie Cox will take a strike. Brianna Cox, pitcher for Bridgewater. 0-1 on Mackenzie Cox. One delivery, hit on the ground to second base. Throw to first. They get the runner at first base. Pinkston was able to dodge the tag by the second baseman to get over to second base. So the Knights have a runner in scoring position now with 2 outs.
Yeah, but again, the failure to move her over with the second batter really hampers the Knights now. You can score so many more ways from third base than you can from second base. Any kind of wild pitch or pass ball would have scored Jamie if she could have been at third base now.
Now Biggs will need to deliver a single as Pinkston takes a big lead off second. Annie Biggs trying to drive home Pinkston to put the Knights out in front here in the bottom of the first inning. Pitch is hit to third, fielded, throw over, and that is it for the Knights in the first inning. They get Pinkston to second base, and that's it. We played 1, no score here from Southern Virginia. Second inning ready to start now. Knights not able to score, Mike, in the first inning after getting Pinkston to second base. And of course, Pinkston shut down Bridgewater in the first inning, so no score as we start the second inning of play.
Yeah, it's not bad to if you can't score in your half inning if you don't allow the other team to score. So again, as long as the Knights can keep a goose egg on the scoreboard for Bridgewater, they're going to be all right.
And this pitch to lead off the inning is drilled foul down the left field line. Knights dodged at a bullet that time. That was a rope knocked down the left field line.
So it goes down as just a foul ball, just a long strike. Jamie has to put that out of her mind and get back into her rhythm.
Well, the Knights are familiar, of course, as how quickly the opposition could explode. Just last week, Emory and Henry, they had them down 3-2 in the fourth inning, ended up losing that game 17-3. That ball popped up in the infield, and it is put away by the Knights as Bailey Brandon able to make the play. First, she had to maybe call off Mackenzie Cox to make sure that she was going to be the one who grabbed it, and then, of course, make the catch for out number one.
Yeah, good job by Bailey being able to get back on the ball and then play it coming forward instead of trying to just keep going back with it and backpedaling.
And now it's going to be, I believe, Mariah Wharton, the hitter. One out for Bridgewater, top of the second, no score. Final game for the Knights as they try to get their first victory of this 2015 season. That's ball two. Knights would love to have senior day end with a victory, their first victory of 2015. Now 3-0 the count.
And you said earlier you'd like to see a 1-0 victory for the Knights, and that's totally possible as long as they keep the Eagles off the base paths. Getting that one run could come at any point for the Knights.
And, of course, the one thing you don't want to do is put them on with a free walk as Pinkston gets the strike there to make it 3-1 now.
Yeah, Jamie's really limited her walks today.
This one's grounded to Biggs, bobbles it, picks it up, throws over, and they get the runner at first. Nice recovery by Annie Biggs after bobbling the ball at third base. Nice strong throw to Keely Gray. Two are gone now for Bridgewater here in the second.
Again, we're seeing that the Knights have really kind of calmed down and shored up their defense on the infield as opposed to what was going on in the first 3 innings of game one.
Now Lacey Shiflett, the hitter from Covington, went to Allegheny High School. First baseman in the second game. Pinkston's pitch swung on and missed. With this kind of defense and pitching, Mike, if it can hold up for the next couple of innings, it's just a matter, as you mentioned, of just getting a couple of runs and getting on top and trying to hold the lead.
Yeah, one run is probably not going to do it, but if they can string together a couple hits in the bottom half of their innings for the next 2 or 3 innings and gain one run each inning, that should be good enough to get them the win.
Pinkston's pitch bounced to short. Cox fields. Throws over. Low throw, though, and Keely Gray can't handle it. And so Shiflett reaches with 2 outs. That's one of those deals where, as you mentioned, Mackenzie Cox playing deep at short, fields the ball cleanly, but then has a long throw and sometimes just can't get it over into the first baseman's mitt. It's a low throw, and Keely Gray couldn't scoop it out.
Yeah, Keely turned her hand the wrong way, too. She's instead of turning it underneath to scoop it up, she tried to keep her hand up on top of the ball, and that's the way it bounced off her palm.
So 2 outs, Shiflett the runner at first. And we'll see how Pinkston bounces back with this hitter. High pitch, ball 1.
You know, fortunate for the Knights, Shiflett isn't the fastest one on the team. We've seen the fastest one on the team come up several times in that leadoff position.
Ball ripped into left field for a base hit and through the left fielder's legs in, back to the wall. Shiflett is around third. She will score, and the hitter winds up at third base. And now 1-0 Bridgewater here in the second.
I believe that's Foltz that hit the ball.
That ball was hit cleanly to the outfield, Mike, but then rolling past the left fielder, which allowed Shiflett to go all the way to home for the first run of the game and allow the hitter to go to third base. And now Pinkston just has to find a way to bounce back.
And there's a there's where that error comes back to haunt you. We talked about it earlier. Usually, if you make an error, it's going to come back and bite you in the rear end, and it just raised its ugly head there and got the Knights.
Pinkston trying to make sure that Bridgewater doesn't score again here.
And Jamie's just got to forget about what happened and forget about the runner on third base right now and just concentrate on getting this one batter out.
Pinkston's pitch is high. Has first base open, obviously. Only a runner at third right now with 2 gone. A little flexibility here. Pinkston's pitch is a called strike.
You know, the last thing that Jamie wants to do is stop trusting their defense. They've been working really well for the last about 4 innings.
Ball hit down the right field line, but it's going to go foul and out of play.
Our cameraman could have reached out and got that one. Better him than us.
Let's see. The thing, too, is we were talking about squirrels and groundhogs running loose earlier in game 1. We haven't had any of our technical people injured in any of these affairs. Pop up to shortstop. Mackenzie Cox there puts it away for out number 3. We have played an inning and a half. It is Bridgewater on top here, 1-0. We are ready to go. Bottom of the second inning. Bridgewater able to manufacture a run, Mike, in that top of the second, thanks to some Knight misplays in the infield and the outfield. And so, as we start the bottom of the second, the Knights trail here now 1-0.
Well, again, Jamie Pinkston was bit by the error bug. That run that scored, it was an unearned error. The error by Mackenzie Cox on the throw, which let her on Shiflett on first base, and then Santos with the error in the outfield to let the ball get by her to the fence.
If Santos plays that ball cleanly in left field, odds are it's second and third, and Jamie's still got a chance to keep the shutout intact.
Yeah, because we saw that the next batter came up and popped up to Mackenzie Cox at shortstop. You just never know what's going to happen. What would have been the best is that clean ball for the third out there when it hit to Mackenzie Cox, and Keely Gray just couldn't connect with each other.
Landy Thompson, the hitter. Keely Gray is on deck. Knights will try to get some runs here in the bottom of the second, now trailing 1-0. Brianna Cox, right-handed pitcher, throws, and Thompson swings and misses. Catcher drops the ball but throws to first for the first out of the inning.
And we've seen that a lot with the Knights today, is in the swinging with the ball in the dirt. They're just not picking up the spin or noticing while they're in the dugout what the pitchers are really throwing. Because pitchers can get in a rhythm and in a groove, and you can almost predict what they're going to throw after about 2 or 3 innings.
Now here's Keely Gray. And let's face it, Mike, again, the injuries have really reduced this Knights roster to the point today where their best hitters, their most experienced hitters, are really the top half of the lineup.
Yeah, once you get past the top four batters, then it starts to fall off a little bit. And again, we talked a little bit about the outfielders and the infielders being moved around so much that they're nowhere near where they started at the beginning of the season. We saw Annie Biggs at third base, and we saw at the beginning of the season she was out in center field. Mendez is in right field. In the beginning of the season, she wasn't playing.
Santos in left.
Santos in left. You got Helms in center, who's their usual
started in right
fielder.
field. Yeah.
And Bannon at second base, who was in the outfield also. So a lot of movement around. Just a nice job of the Knights staying together and working through these ups and downs.
Keely Gray striking out for the second out of the inning. And now Brianna Cox is trying for a 1-2-3 inning here in the bottom of the second.
And again, the Knights don't need to try to do too much with the ball. They just need to try to get bat on ball.
Low pitch that time. Brianna Cox ready to throw again here. And here it comes. Called strike.
And now Brandon's really in the hole.
Haley Brennan, 5'4", freshman. Has a couple of strikes on her now. And Brianna Cox comes to the plate, swung on and missed for strike 3, and that is the third out of the inning. We played 2. It's Bridgewater 1 and SVU nothing. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon ready for the top of the third inning. Bridgewater leads it here 1-0 through 2 innings. They won the first game 12-2. Knights came into the doubleheader 0-24 in the season, 0-25 now, and trying to keep game 2 close where they can maybe take the victory and give these 3 seniors for the Knights a great way to end this 2015 season with their first and only victory of the season.
Yeah, and like you said, they limited the damage last inning. Now they have to really just make sure that it stays at 1 run.
Pinkston ready to go, and here comes the pitch, low. Jamie Pinkston making her last start as a Knight, along with other seniors, Mackenzie Cox, the shortstop, Lainey Thompson, the catcher. That pitch is outside, it misses.
That was your chance right there, just a little outside.
Just a little outside. And, of course, to be serious here, Mike, Jamie does not want to walk the first hitter in this third inning, and she just did that right there.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for Jamie to walk her. Nyquist, we've seen her take off several times from first base on the first pitch. I would almost call a pitch out here and try to catch her.
Especially with the lefty, Brianna Cox the hitter. Good hitter. There goes Nyquist, and the throw down, and she is safe just under the tag. Good throw by Thompson, got it down there. But Nyquist had a good jump and slid underneath the tag by Mackenzie Cox.
Yeah, and when you know that the runners are going to go, you don't fool around. You throw a fastball to the outside part of the plate, preferably off the plate, and try to get her out. Looks like Jamie threw a little drop there, which Laney had a hard time going down and getting and then coming up and throwing.
Pinkston's pitch is high. So Nyquist at second. Nobody gone for the Eagles here in the top of the third inning. Pitch to Cox. Is a called strike by Pinkston.
Now Cox's job is to get the ball over on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the field so Nyquist can get to third base.
That pitch is low. Doesn't look like Nyquist is going to try to steal third right now.
No, but I would hazard a guess if the ball gets in the dirt again, you'll see her take off.
It's kind of surprised she didn't go there. And that pitch is a called strike. Pinkston would love to get this hitter after walking Nyquist and seeing her steal second. Pitch is grounded foul. And Pinkston ready to go. The two-strike pitch is hit to left field. Santos is there and makes the grab for the first out of the inning. Gets it back in. Nyquist will stick at second base. So Santos making the play in left for the first out of this third inning.
And if the Knights can strand Nyquist at second base, they have done a great job negating her speed.
Now you wonder if Nyquist might go to third base. There's the ball hit to center field, but it's a no man's land, and Helms makes a nice running catch, puts it away for out number 2. Helms authoritatively taking charge that time, calling off the infielders and making the grab, Mike, for out number 2.
Yeah, great job by Kate Rose coming in, making sure that everybody knew that it was her ball, securing the catch, and then just getting it in to keep Nyquist at second base.
Nyquist was at second base with nobody out. Now she's out there with 2 outs.
You know, and 2 things are going on there. That's good job for the Knights to induce the outs there, but also a failure on the part of the Eagles to get her over to third base with 1 out or less.
I'm kind of surprised Nyquist hasn't attempted to steal, at least after there was 1 out. Here comes Pinkston's pitch. It's hit to center field. Helms is there and grabs it for out number 3. In the bottom of the third, your score, Bridgewater 1 and Southern Virginia nothing. Jim Bresney had Mike Harmon ready to go. Bottom of the third inning, close ball game. Bridgewater won, Southern Virginia nothing. Bridgewater won the first game of this doubleheader 12-2, and the Knights are trying to grab the nightcap and pick up win number 1 of this 2015 season in their final game of the 2015 season.
Yeah, in order for that to happen, they're going to have to put together some hits on the offensive side, or a couple walks would help also.
It just looks like right now, in the first game it was Lutz. In the second game now, Brianna Cox. They're just throwing strikes. And there's a quick 2-strike count on the hitter.
Well, they're throwing enough balls that look like they're going to be strikes. They're inducing the hitters.
That's true. The Knights have been
swing.
swinging at a lot of low pitches today. 2-strike pitches, ball and 1 now, 1-2. And you also mentioned earlier, Mike, that Bridgewater has just a lot of options pitching-wise on their roster. We might see some of those here as this game goes on. The strike 3 called.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to use the old starter and closer roles as they go through. The last game we saw that, and it looks like they might be doing it for this game also.
1 gone for the Knights. And now it'll be Bianca Mendez coming to the plate with nobody on and 1 out here in the bottom of the third. And Brianna Cox throws, ball 1. Cox's 1-0 pitch is fouled off. 1-1 now to Bianca.
And one thing we haven't seen a lot of today, Jim, is the ball being fouled off over the top of the fence down into the gully.
Not too many of those
Not too many of
efforts
those today.
to track down loose balls. 1-1 pitch is low. 2-1 on Mendez. I would imagine the goal here is get her on base, advance her to second, even with 2 outs, and hope for a hit.
Yeah, you got to get runners into scoring position any way you can with any outs that you have.
Swung on and missed, and now 2-2 on Bianca Mendez. Again, the only run of the game for Bridgewater was unearned. Couple of errors leading to that.
And was just unfortunate for the Knights and Jamie Pinkston.
Ball's grounded right down to first base and by Shiflett. And Mendez is on at first base on the error by Bridgewater. Shiflett, the first baseman, I don't know if it took a bad hop or she just took an unexpected hop, but the Knights have a base runner with 1 out.
Yeah, it looks like she may even just took her eye off of it, thinking that it's just a routine play. She's going to be able to step backwards and hit first base.
And now a real opportunity, Mike. Still 1 out, but it got a runner on base and the top of the order. And here's Pinkston. If she can get a hold of 1, maybe the Knights can score here in the third inning. First pitch low, ball 1. Mendez ready to go off first, and Pinkston takes ball 2.
And we can see Mendez not getting a very big lead. Hasn't been out on the base paths very much this season, so she's being very, very careful.
Doesn't want to take him out of a possible rally here. There's a ball hit up the middle and through for a base hit. Mendez is going to take the turn, and she's going to go to third base, and she is safe. I don't think Bridgewater was expecting her to take the extra base, and they threw the ball into second base kind of leisurely, and by the time they realized Bianca was headed for third, she was able to make it.
Yeah, she wasn't slowing down at all, was she? Made it her mind that if she saw the ball get to the green, she was going to go to third.
So now runners at the corners here with, again, just 1 out, and now a big opportunity here for Katie Rose Helms.
Well, nice aggressive base running by Bianca Mendez.
Well, you got a lot of options here. You could bunt. You could suicide squeeze, which could leave Bianca Mendez out to dry. You could just try to bunt her in or slap hit her in.
Well, right now you want Jamie Pinkston to go to second base and try to get them to throw down. But if you're Mendez, you have to make sure that the throw goes all the way through to second base and not just back to the pitcher.
1-0 bottom of the third. Knights trying to tie the game here in the last of the third inning. And Helms hits the ball right to the third baseman who grabs it. And luckily, unfortunately, Mendez was back in time at third base, and Pinkston also got back after Jen Balka made the grab. So now there are two gone for the Knights in the third, and still runners at the corners. And here is Mackenzie Cox, the shortstop, with a chance to be a hero and try to tie this game with a single.
And that was a great placement by Katie Rose. Just an outstanding play by the third baseman, Balcom.
Mackenzie Cox fouling off the first pitch. Scoring opportunities might going to be few and far between. It looks like right now in game two for maybe both teams. So this is a golden opportunity for the Knights to at least try to tie this game.
Yeah, you can't leave two runners on base, especially one at third base.
There's a ball hit on the ground, and it goes foul ball down the left field line. So they'll do it again. Of course, the Knights left a few runners on base in that first game. They lost that game by 10, but twice had bases loaded, twice with 2 outs, and not able to get a big hit to get some runs home.
Yeah, that's just one of those unfortunate times that you're just not able to move runners across home plate.
Cox against Cox. Brianna against McKenzie. Ball's outside.
And all McKenzie really wants to do is just barrel the ball up, straight back up the middle, get a nice hard ground ball to the outfield.
And here comes the pitch. Low and outside. Biggs, I believe, the on-deck hitter. If she's like the Andy Biggs maybe of the first month of the season, Knights could really have something to look forward to if this winds up being bases loaded, if they walk Mackenzie Cox. And the pitch is low and fouled away.
Yeah, that could be something that really breaks open some floodgates if Mackenzie can get on base and keep the bases loaded by a walk, or if she gets a nice little hit and still moves runners over to scoring position, and he could come up and do some damage.
And Mackenzie Cox waiting on the pitch, swings and misses, and a big strikeout for Bridgewater. We have played 3. It is Bridgewater on top here, 1-0. Well, Mike, a nice tight ball game here in Game 2 after the first game ended up being Bridgewater 12 and Southern Virginia 2. Here in Game number 2, the nightcap, the Knights only trail 1-0 as we start the 4th inning.
Yeah, good job defensively by limiting the opportunities for Bridgewater. Unfortunately, just leaving too many runners on base for the Knights.
And the first pitch by Pinkston is a called strike. Jamie trying to keep her team close. And if she can, maybe just a one big hit with runners in scoring position could put the Knights either in a tie game or ideally on top.
Yeah, and you'd hate to think that the Knights will look back on the bottom of the 3rd inning there and say that was the point there where we should have went ahead and taken the game if they go ahead and if they lose the game.
Had 1st and 3rd and just 1 out. And Helms popped up at the third baseman, and Mackenzie Cox also striking out to end the threat. Here comes Pinkston's pitch, low.
And we're starting to see Jamie labor a little bit now in this inning. First couple innings, she had things going her way. Looks like she was really in rhythm and finding the strike zone easily.
There's a ball hit to center field and deep. Helms back and can't get it as he up against the wall. Fires it back in, and it's going to be a long single for Bridgewater. Helms back almost to the fence, near the fence in the warning track, and just could not track that ball into her glove.
Yeah, unfortunately, she didn't get back to the fence fast enough and then play the ball. She was trying to play the ball as she was running back. Fortunately for the Knights, though, the Bridgewater batter kind of came off out of the batter's box kind of slow and easy, thinking that the ball was already over the fence.
Ends up being just a long single for Bridgewater, and depending on what the Knights can do, and Jamie Pinkston specifically here, they could regret not having that extra base. Pinkston's pitch bunted right in front of the plate. Thompson picks it up, throws to second base, or first base, and it's off of Brianna. And their other runner will go over to third as Bailey Brandon will make that from second base, covering first. But I'm not sure if she just didn't get her glove up high enough or Thompson's throw down was just too high for her.
It was a bad angle also that the Knights had between the two.
They've struggled with that play all season long.
All season long.
Where the first baseman is in and the catcher has to throw to the second baseman, and in times the second baseman has been able to make the play, Mike, and other times the catcher has thrown it away. So now Bridgewater here in the fourth inning with runners on the corners.
And that's also one of the plays that if you're a catcher, if they're inside the fair territory lines, you go ahead and you hit them in the back because that would be obstruction. And looks like the runner number 11, Mariah Wharton, may have been inside those
actually, I think
lines.
Several times this season we've seen them inside, and Laney is trying to throw around them. And that's where many times the throws have been errant.
Yeah, on the way down to first base, the runners are supposed to play in their running lane, and that's the fair line and the extra line that's to the right of it. If they're inside on the field of play, you can go ahead and hit them, and they will be out.
Here's the ball hit to right field. Mendez is out there, makes the grab. Runner from third will score on a sac fly. Other runner will hold. 2-0 Bridgewater here in the fourth now. No real damage done. The Knights will not worry too much about one run, but then again, the offense has been struggling to score, so
yeah,
you get up to around 3 or 4, and you could have real problems.
That's the worry, is them scoring more than one run. You limit Bridgewater to one run, you think back to the first game, hey, we already scored one run against them, we can score one more run against them and keep the ball game tied up. But now they're starting to get more than that one run. We haven't seen the Knights really have any type of offensive explosion. This ball game could get out of hand quickly.
Biggs gets it at third base, throws to second base, braided on over there in time. And the runner will go from first to third, and the throw into the outfield by Mendez goes all the way to the catcher Thompson, which allows the hitter to go to second base.
You know, and I can understand from Annie wanting to get that lead runner, but you go ahead and take the easy out, the easiest out you have, and that's the throw over to first base. We talked about Bailey Brandon really not being a second baseman. This is probably one of the first times that she's played 2 complete games at second base and just not able to break to the second base fast enough.
And even if she breaks cleanly, or, instantaneously, that's still a tough play for her to make. Already second baseman to make, as Pinkston now sees a couple of runners in scoring position. The ball goes right through the legs of Biggs down the left field line. 2 runs are going to score for Bridgewater. And the hitter goes down to second base.
And now the floodgates start to open up, and we've seen this time and time again where one error leads to 2, leads to 3, and that can open up the floodgates for the opposition to score a lot of runs.
And so now 4-0 Bridgewater here in the top of the fourth inning. Amber Wood is the runner. Ball hits the base at second base, trickles into center field. Helms will fire the ball into the pitcher, but the run scores, and the hitter stays at first base. Now 5-0 Eagles. as it was Hannah Nyquist getting the single, hitting it right off the second base bag.
And here's Nyquist again, and look for her to run on the first pitch. Hopefully, you have Coach Hall will call some type of pitch out and catch her going down to first, going down from first to second base.
I imagine that's what they're talking about right now at the pitcher's mound.
I would hope so. It just seems to be a pattern over and over and over with Nyquist.
Not the kind of inning, the fourth inning, the Knights were hoping for, with a 1-0 ball game starting the top of the fourth, and suddenly Bridgewater has cashed in, at times with some sloppy defense by the Knights, for 4 big runs.
Yeah, unfortunately, the floodgates have just opened up, and we've seen that little bugaboo that has just been nagging at the Knights' defense all year long, just unforced errors, come back and get them.
And now Brianna Cox, left-handed hitting. Brianna Cox is the hitter. Nyquist the runner at first. 5-0 Bridgewater. Nyquist, there she goes. And the throw down, not in time. Nyquist made it easily that time.
And again, it looks like Lainey Thompson didn't even notice that she was leaving. That has to be on her teammates for not telling them that Nyquist had left.
So now a 5-run lead for Bridgewater and another runner for them in scoring position in Nyquist. Pinkston's pitch to Brianna Cox, ripped to center field, fielded by left fielder, make that. Throw in, and they're going to hold the runner at third, and it'll be Cox moving up from first to second. And so now second and third for Bridgewater. And now you start being concerned about their ability to hit Pinkston, who's really handcuffed them through the first 3 innings and the last couple of innings in game 1, Mike, really for a 5 or 6 inning stretch. But now Bridgewater here in the fourth starting to hit the ball authoritatively too.
Yeah, they're reverting back to that first 3 innings that we saw in the first game, where they were really seeing the ball from coming out of Jamie Pinkston's hand really easily. I don't know if Jamie's lost some velocity, but I noticed that her movement isn't as good as the ball is just hanging right in the middle of the zone.
Pinkston's pitch high, 2-0. One out, second and third here in the fourth inning for Bridgewater. And now 3-0.
And now because of some of those hard hits, Jamie's really trying to nibble at the corners and not being able to find any part of the white.
In danger of loading the bases. And that ball pops off the mitt of Thompson and in to score. The runner from third. And now first and third. And 6-0 is now your score.
So Nyquist took advantage of her speed all the way around the bases.
Yeah, she is really quick out there. So now Bridgewater, 5 runs here in the fourth. Runners at the corners, still just 1 out. Big inning here in the top of the fourth inning for the Eagles. Pinkston's pitch. There goes another runner stealing second. No throw this time. And now Bridgewater has a couple of runners in scoring position here in the top of the fourth inning.
Yeah, and I'm sure that in the next season or two we'll see some type of play.
Ball hit to the outfield and deep. And Helms with a great catch. Coming over from center field to make the grab on the dead run. Sac fly makes it now 7-0 with a runner at second, but great catch out there.
It was a fabulous catch by Helms as she tracked the ball all the way down, took it from a little bit of a shaky Santos, made a great backhand play there. And we've seen Helms make a lot of spectacular catches this season.
I think they appealed over at third that the runner left early, but it doesn't look like they're going to be successful with that appeal. And so Bridgewater on top here now, 7-0. 6 runs for Bridgewater here in the top of the fourth inning. And it didn't look like the left fielder was going to make a play in that ball, and if that ball drops, probably a couple of runs are home. Instead, Helms made a great grab. High pitch from Pinkston.
Yeah, Katie ran a long way from that. The only thing that we've seen better from her is the over-the-shoulder catch that she dove onto the warning track for.
Pinkston's pitch. There's a called strike. Knights were hoping to keep this a one-run game, Mike, and try to manufacture some offense in the final few innings, but now they've fallen behind 7-0. There's a grounder down to short. Cox throws over to first, and they get the third out of the inning. Big inning, though, for Bridgewater. They're on top here now, 7-0 from Southern Virginia University. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon, ready to go here. Bottom of the fourth inning. Big top of the fourth inning, though, for Bridgewater. Mike, they scored 6 times and now are on top 7-0. It had been a very close game of 1-0, now 7-0 Bridgewater.
Yeah, and if you're a softball team or a baseball team, you never want to try to help the other team, and that's something that the Knights have been limited doing in the first 3 innings of the game. That fourth inning, though, they really helped the Bridgewater Eagles out by making several errors.
I have to go back and look at the box scores today to see exactly how many stolen bases Nyquist has. I'm going to guess 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7. Here's the ball hit to Nyquist at second base. Fields throws and gets the first runner, Biggs, to start the fourth inning.
Well, we'd have to just go back and find out how many times she made it to first base, because every time she's been on first base, she has stolen second.
There's Lainey Thompson with 1 gone for the Knights in the bottom of the fourth. No, the Knights were probably hoping for a 1-1, maybe a 2-1 ball game in the 6th or 7th inning, Mike. And if they don't score here and give up a run in the top of the 5th and don't score in the bottom of the 5th, this game is suddenly over.
Yeah, the run rule will be in effect if Bridgewater scores 1 more and the Knights don't score right here.
The Knights have to be thinking the last 2 weeks they have had really tight ball games as that ball is launched to right field and in for a hit. Thompson will go all the way to second base and wind up with a double. So a nice hit down the right field line for Lainey Thompson. I was going to say the last couple of games where they've had the ball game in very tight control in the Emory and Henry game where they led 3-2 in the fourth. Gave up 5 in the fourth in that ball game. And here it was only 1-0 Bridgewater, and they gave up 6 in the fourth inning.
Well, the way that you can really combat giving up a lot of runs is to come back in your half inning and to start scoring runs. And a great start by Lainey Thompson. Nice opposite field hit for a double.
1 out in the inning, and Thompson is at second base. Biggs grounded to second. Thompson doubled down the right field line. Knights trying to, if nothing else, avoid the shutout in their final game of this 2015 season. Swung on and missed.
And the Eagles have changed pitchers. This is number 8, Anna Patterson, in pitching, freshman from Port Republic, Virginia.
Spotswood High School. That ball fouled off by Keely Gray. 2 strikes on her now.
And so it looks like Bridgewater College is trying to give all their pitchers at least an inning of work.
Keely Gray trying to bring Thompson home, drives it right back to the pitcher who makes the play, hurries to throw over to first, and the first baseman bobbles the ball, and Keely Gray is safe. And the play was made by the pitcher in plenty of time, Anna Patterson. She just rushed her throw. She really had no reason to rush her throw over to first base in plenty of time.
Yeah, and then Shiflett had plenty of time to go ahead and pick up the ball.
True enough.
So, you could give multiple errors on that play.
Runners at the corners. 1 out now for the Knights. And it'll be Bailey Brandon trying to get the Knights on the scoreboard. Pitch gets away. Gray slides and safe at home. And the Knights have their first run today at 7-1 now. And Gray takes second base.
So nice to see Lainey Thompson touch home plate in her final game of the year.
Makes it 7-1. Keely Gray now at second base. Still just 1 gone here for the Knights. Patterson, freshman pitcher, ready to go again. Brandon the hitter. And that pitch is low.
And now let's see if the error bug is contagious and if Bridgewater College has caught it from the Knights.
Patterson's pitch to Brandon, swung on and missed. Patterson's pitch to Brandon, low again, bounces away from the catcher. Gray goes over to third. And they'll get together, Bridgewater will, on the mound to talk to the freshman pitcher and try maybe settle her down here in the bottom of the 4th inning with the Knights on the scoreboard to make it 7-1, and they've got another runner at third base now with, again, just 1 out.
And when she came in, I don't think this was the plan was for her to give up a double and then to walk a player and then get one to come in.
So here comes the pitcher ready to go again in a 7-1 ball game. And that is going to be a strikeout. Or at least a strike.
There we go. 3-2 now, I think.
Second strike. Looked like Brandon waved at it, kind of low. Could have obviously been ball 4 there, Mike.
Yeah, it looks like she's trying to bunt the ball there.
And that one's fouled back.
And sometimes when you get the orders from the coach, you go ahead and try to follow through on it, no matter if it's a ball or a strike. As players get more mature and a little bit older in their playing career, they'll understand that that's only orders for if the ball is a strike.
That was ball 4 low, so Brandon's at first base.
Yeah, and it looks like the Knights have clearly got Patterson rattled now.
Runners at the corners. 7-1 your score. Still just 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Knights hoping for a big rally. Pitch is called strike. We were scrolling through the scores. Knights have never scored more than 3 runs in a ball game this season. And to make a comeback here in game 2 of this doubleheader, they're going to have to manufacture a lot of offense. Ball comes off the catcher, and the slide in at home plate. And they're going to rule out, I believe, Mike, the pitcher, Patterson, tagged the runner. And I thought the umpire was looking to see if she held onto the ball.
I think so. But now he's going to check and make sure that she's okay. Keely Gray came in like she was supposed to, came in low and hard, and just an unfortunate bounce back off the catcher's leg guards right out into the middle of the field of play, and Patterson got it, tried to tag Gray out, and looks like she got spiked.
But did get the out, I believe. And that was a big situation for the Knights, who were trying to get their second run of the inning. And it looks like Bridgewater is going to go ahead and change pitchers here.
And that'll be number 2, Amber Wood, another freshman coming in from Stafford, Virginia.
So she'll get the call, probably ending sooner than she was expecting to get the call.
Yeah, and because of the injury, she'll get all the time she needs to warm up.
Although she has been warming up, it looked like preparing maybe to pitch the 5th inning.
But most pitchers are very ritualistic, and they need to go through an exact period of time that they need to have to warm up, and so they'll just make sure that she's okay.
2 outs here now for the Knights in the bottom of the 4th with Brandon, the base runner, at second. And the score now 7-1. Knights were able to get that first run, and I know Keely Gray was hoping to get into home plate before the tag was applied for run number 2. Patterson on her feet with some assistance.
And if you've never been spiked before, that is not a feeling that you enjoy at all.
It's a good hand from the crowd coming off the field. So a new pitcher will be Amber Wood, freshman from Stafford. And she's acquiring a situation where she's got a runner at second base, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th inning in a 7-1 ball game.
And again, they'll give her all the time that she needs to warm up. So it could be 4 or 5 pitches, or it could be 5 minutes. We just don't know. But again, the ball did bounce off of the shin guards of the catcher right back out into the field of play. Keely Gray came in hard like she's supposed to, and Patterson was just in the wrong place at the right time and got spiked for her efforts.
And not much choice really for Keely. Had no idea where that ball was going to bounce, and she just took a chance and got the unfortunate bounce for her. So Amber Wood, the relief pitcher, warming up, getting ready to go with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th inning. This was a close ball game. It was 1-0 Bridgewater. Starting the 4th inning, they scored 6 times, took a 7-0 lead, and it could have been much worse. Could have been at least a run worse, Mike, if Helms didn't make that catch out in center field.
Oh, that was a fantastic catch. Again, running to her right, making a backhanded catch, able to take it at least away from falling in for a double and holding the runner at second base.
And now the Knights have scored a run here in the bottom of the 4th, and they've got Brandon at second base with 2 outs. And so Amber Wood, the freshman, in relief of Patterson, the other freshman, who got spiked at home plate, ready to go here, with a runner at second, 2 gone in the bottom of the 4th inning. First pitch is low and a ball.
You know, and with the pitcher just coming in and not going through her full routine, the Knights would be really smart to make her throw several pitches to them to make sure that she can throw strikes.
Swung on and missed there. 1-1 the count. One pitch, and here it comes. High and away, 2-1. Here comes the 2-1 delivery, slap foul, 2-2 now.
No, and again, this is a big inning for the Knights. They scored 1 run, but they need to make sure that they can get at least 2 in order to stay within shouting distance of Bridgewater.
And to do that, they're going to have need a 2-out hit here with the runner at second base. The ball's popped right back on the ground to the pitcher who makes the play at first, and that's it for the Knights in the 4th. They get a run. We played 4, and your score, it is Southern Virginia trailing here 7-1 to Bridgewater. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon, ready to go. Top of the fifth inning. It is Bridgewater on top here, 7-1. And Mike, they've shaken things up a little bit in the outfield, at least for Southern Virginia, to start the top of the fifth inning.
Yeah, you got Riley Anderson playing over in left field. Left fielder Gia Santos is over in right field, and Katie Rose Helms stays in center field.
Everybody else still the same. Brandon at second base, Biggs at third, Cox at shortstop, first baseman Gray, pitcher Pinkston. Top of the fifth, 7-1 your score. And Wharton, the shortstop, drills the ball to center field, and it's out of here. Home run for Bridgewater to start the top of the fifth inning. And that was a no-doubter.
Yeah, that was on a line drive. That wasn't a towering shot. That was just a line drive that went straight over the center field fence. Jamie hung a pitch right in the middle of the zone, and Wharton took it over.
And now it is 8-1 Eagles here in the fifth inning. Well, you wonder earlier, Mike, you mentioned, I think last inning, that Jamie seemed to be losing velocity and you just wear and tear, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not so much the velocity that I'm really concerned about it, but it's the movement on the ball. Everything's staying up right around belt level now. No movement down into the zone, and that just going to spell a lot of danger.
There's a grounder down to third base. Biggs tries to grab it, can't. Throws over to first, Cox does, and gets the play. One out. Nice play by Mackenzie Cox to back up Biggs from the shortstop position.
And again, just the Knights being able to work a little bit together. It would have been better if Mackenzie could have yelled out and let
Brandon
Annie
makes
know.
the put out at second base on a pop to her. And quickly following that home run, Mike, 2 quick outs here for Bridgewater.
Yeah, and it's very fortunate that the Knights scored that one run in the bottom of the inning, last inning, or else the run rule would be in effect right now.
8-1 your score. Top of the fifth. 2 gone for Bridgewater. Nobody on. They've got to run home on a home run, and that's it. And this ball is hit to left field and foul.
Just a little bit.
0-1 the count. Wharton hit a homer. Pinkston rebounding to get the next 2 hitters. And trying to get this hitter to get out of the fifth inning. Pitch is high.
And again, the dangers with Jamie is her velocity is down, but that doesn't really matter as long as she has movement. But the movement's not there.
This ball hit to the left side into the Knights dugout.
And you see that one of the assistant coaches, Malaya Falavai, doesn't even move, doesn't shake her up at all. Our trainer, Amanda Hawks, is gone. She's out of there now.
Hey, I would be right with her. Pinkston's pitch outside. Well, it's like anything else in life, Mike. Everybody reacts different ways, right?
Yeah.
Here comes Pinkston's pitch. Outside again.
Yeah, Malaya, laid back Polynesian, reacts just that way. Oh, no big deal. Amanda, I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Pinkston's pitch low, and a walk drawn by Bridgewater with 2 gone here in the fifth. And now here comes Nyquist.
Yeah, and after those 2 quick outs, that's not what you want to do is get back to the top of the lineup against Bridgewater, especially with Nyquist coming up. The only thing is if Nyquist gets on base by a walk, she's limited.
And she drills the ball to short. Cox bobbles, has no play. First and second.
And that's what the speed of Nyquist does to you. It causes you to try to rush a little bit too much, and one bobble of the ball, you know that there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Cox fields that cleanly, if she goes to second base rather than trying to get the ball over to first and beat Nyquist. And now 2 gone, 2 on, and here comes Brianna Cox. Lefty-lefty matchup. Pitch is in for strike 1.
And if the Knights want to keep the run rule out of effect, they've got to get this out.
And that ball is drilled into the outfield for a base hit. Helms picks it up. The run's going to score. 9-1 Bridgewater. Throw goes into home plate, allowing the other runner to go over to third. So Brianna Cox is now at first. Nyquist is at third. Still 2 outs. Now 9-1 Bridgewater. And coming up to the plate here with 2 gone will be Throckmorton.
And any ball in the dirt, you can expect to see Nyquist take off.
Pinkston's pitch. Ball is hit into the outfield, and that's going to drop for a hit. And Nyquist scores to make it 10-1. Into third base goes Brianna Cox. And runners remain at the corners, and still 2 out. Now 10-1 Bridgewater. So the Knights had a chance to get out of this with just a 8-1 deficit, but all with 2 out, Mike.
Yeah.
This rally by Bridgewater.
And it all happened because of a walk.
The walk to Bolton, I think, the third baseman. Runner's going to steal second. No play. Second to third for Bridgewater, 2 out.
And that might be one of the plays that you want to go ahead and put into effect is with 2 outs and the runner takes off to second base. Go ahead and
Biggs throws it home, and the ball's bobbled instead of going to first base, and then the runner is safe. And the other runner, the hitter, will go on down to second base. I was trying to figure out why Biggs was going home with the ball with 2 outs as opposed to not just throwing the ball over to the diamond to Gray at first base. And she threw it kind of, not only surprisingly to home plate to Lainey Thompson, but kind of lazily where Thompson had a hard time grabbing it.
Yeah, that's a question that I have no answer to. Just with
so now
2 outs,
11-1 your score.
2 outs, you take the ball to first base.
That ball hit to Biggs, and this time she'll go over to first, and that will be the 3rd out of the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th. It is Bridgewater on top here, 11-1. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon ready to go in the bottom of the 5th inning. And now suddenly Bridgewater on top here 11-1 by a 10-run deficit. The Knights trail. They lost the first game 12-2. This game, starting the 4th inning, was just 1-0. Now we start the bottom of the 5th inning here, Mike. It's 11-1 Bridgewater. Kind of reminiscent of that game last week with Emory and Henry where the Knights actually led 3-2 in the 4th and ended up losing that game 17-3.
Yeah, and unfortunately the Knights can look back on a lot of errors that have let this lead escalate. The run rule's in effect now, and if the Knights don't come up with some runs, this game will be over.
New pitcher, Amber Wood, still out there here in the bottom of the 5th after she took over for Patterson in the bottom of the 4th inning. And this ball is hit to the outfield, a base hit. So the Knights get a single.
Yes,
Riley
Anderson.
What I want to know is, where's she been all season?
And a lot of you don't know this, but Riley is usually behind one of our cameras. She just agreed to help out the softball team because they were down to only 9 players.
Plays soccer.
Plays soccer.
Yeah, and
plays
did a nice job putting that ball to right field. And now Pinkston drills the ball to the outfield for a base hit. And Anderson gets over to second base. And so suddenly first and second for the Knights, and here comes Helms. Now, the Knights will have to score 3 times to keep this game going beyond the 5th, but say they've got the first 2 runners on with nobody gone in the bottom of the 5th inning.
And if Riley doesn't watch out, they'll be on her about playing softball next year.
Anderson is over at second, and at first base, it's Pinkston. Helms the hitter. And the pitch waved at, and that's a strike. They actually brought the center fielder in for a possible throw from the catcher down to second base.
Yeah, with the slap hitter up in Helms, they know that the
There's
ball's probably not going to go very far.
So now 2 strikes on Katie Rose. If nothing else, Mike, she wants to advance these runners to second and third. With Cox to follow.
Yeah, you got to do anything that you can to make sure that that you have 2 runners in scoring position, not just 1.
Even though the Knights are going to need 3 runs to get this game to go to the 6th inning at least. And Katie Rose dribbles the ball to third base, and it's off of everybody and rolling into the outfield, or the deep infield, and a run scores as Anderson scores all the way from second base, and the runners are now at first and second. And Katie Rose Helms simply dribbled that ball to the left side, Mike, and the third baseman couldn't handle it. It got in between the third and the shortstop, bounced all the way to the short infield, almost to the outfield, and the Knights were able to score a run out of that.
Riley Anderson was able to show some of her soccer speed there. Great job of running the bases.
And now it's first and second. Still no one out, and now it's 11-2. Knights down here by 9. And Mackenzie Cox, the hitter. Nice rally here by the Knights in the 5th inning, and this ball's popped up. Second baseman will put away for the first out. Nyquist making the catch.
Yeah, infield fly rules in effect, so even if she didn't catch it, Mackenzie Cox was already out.
So now we've got runners at first and second. 1 gone here, and here is Biggs. Yeah, I'm wondering if Riley Anderson will be playing softball next spring, maybe.
I don't know if Coach Gravrock would
But
like
she's a
that.
pretty good camera operator, too, now.
She's a great camera operator for our production manager, Craig Reese, here. Again, I think Riley was just stepping in to help out.
That pitch is low. Lainey Thompson, the on-deck hitter. Biggs the hitter right now. Good chance, Mike, since this game could end here shortly. When you look down the Knights softball roster, we talked so much about the 3 seniors today, and Lainey Thompson, Pinkston, and also Mackenzie Cox. How about the returning players that, if they all return next year, might be making some valuable, contributions to the Knights in the 2016 season? Maybe Annie Biggs right here.
Yeah, they have really been in the fire, so to speak, this whole season. Not a lot of let's ease our feet into playing and learning some things. They just got thrown into the fire, so they'll be able to really contribute next season in whatever role that they have.
A couple of names that we can remember as Biggs strikes out. A couple of names from earlier in the season that aren't playing here in the final game would be Tafua and Michaela Brown.
Yeah, both of them are injured. Don't know the extent of the injuries, but I know that one of them, I think Maggie Lou, had a concussion, and that was her 3rd or 4th in her career, and they just decided to shut her down.
Ball's popped up. Catcher makes the catch, and this game is over as Bridgewater knocks off the Knights here in game number 2, 11-2. So, Mike, a disappointing doubleheader on senior day for the Knights. They lose the first game 12-2, lose the nightcap 11-2, and kind of deceiving that score in the nightcap because it was 1-0 going into the top of the 4th inning.
Yeah, the 4th inning was where the wheels came off the wagon for the Knights as they committed several different errors and allowed Bridgewater to really just expand that lead. Unfortunate that they couldn't win the game on senior day, but again, these young ladies that are the seniors have really provided some building blocks going forward into the next couple years.
And they had some close calls. Again, it was 1-0 going into the top of the 4th inning here in Game 2 against Bridgewater. Last week against Emory and Henry, it was 3-2. Knights were on top of that game last week in the top of the 4th inning. And in each case, the 4th inning was their undoing.
Yeah, they just
not to mention the defense.
Don't know if they just start to let down too much during the 4th inning, thinking that things are going their way too good. But just too many errors happen to allow a good team to stay within earshot of a good team.
And despite the doubleheader loss, and despite the inability to get a victory in this 2015 season, it was a great situation today for the Knights to send out their 3 seniors, Lainey Thompson, Jamie Pinkston, and Mackenzie Cox, and really honor them today in between these doubleheader games.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that schools do that. Not just Southern Virginia, but all the schools honor their seniors. Every one of the seniors have contributed to their team and contributed in ways that can't be measured. We'll miss seeing them out on the field, but we know that they're moving on to the next part of their life, and we wish them good luck with that.
So that's going to wrap up the 2015 softball season. And don't forget, we have one more athletic webcast coming your way on Saturday. Men's lacrosse, Mike, from the fields at Southern Virginia University, Saturday, 1 o'clock, as the men will have senior day and finish off their 2015 season in lacrosse, taking on Lees McRae.
Yeah, and we'll have to look up and see how Lees McRae is. I can't imagine they're any better than the Capital Athletic Conference that the Knights have just finished that season. Hopefully they can get that second win there and send their senior off with a win on his last home game.
So again, join us for men's lacrosse Saturday, 1 o'clock. That'll wrap things up here from Southern Virginia University. For Mike Harmon, I'm Jim Bresnahan. Thanks again for joining us today.